So, you've decided to listen to a podcast. I'm Craig, Kneel Before Pod's very own Captain America, bringing you this important public service announcement. I'm sitting backwards on my chair to prove how cool I am and everything. Before this podcast begins, I'd like to extend a huge apology for the audio issues and background noise that exists throughout. The recording was marred by a few issues, but we powered through and got the job done. I'd like to encourage you to power through as well and enjoy our detailed discussion on Avengers Infinity War. Satisfaction is guaranteed.
Hi there, this is Victor Cook, the executive producer and supervising director of Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters, which you can watch on Netflix. I was also the producer and supervising director of The Spectacular Spider-Man, and I want to wish all the fans of that show a happy 10-year anniversary. You are watching Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello, and welcome to another avenging edition of Kneel Before Pod, the podcast that scared the Hulk. I'm your host, Craig, and I've opened up my flip phone to assemble a group of heroes to discuss the latest Marvel epic, Avengers Infinity War. First up, we've got our own pirate angel and god of hammers, it's Kat.
Hello.
Next up is our resident Goldblum, a woman who takes great delight into forcing us podcasters with jobs to fight amongst ourselves, Natalie.
Oh my god, that's like fantastic. I might have choked on my own tonsils or something there. I don't really know what happened.
Someone enjoyed her introduction?
I was like, where is this going? Oh, that was so nice. I'm so sorry for choking on it.
I have no words. Anyway, hello.
Hi. Sorry. I'm really looking forward to this. Sorry.
Last but by no means least, he's still obsessed with dark dimension known as the internet and can be found upsetting people in comment sections. It's Isaac.
Yay! I'm back.
Okay, so how is everybody? Ready for this group therapy session that is an Infinity War discussion?
Oh, don't
my gosh,
even.
I think this is necessary.
Yeah. Like what? I can't. Well, you can't say that. That's like a spoiler.
No, it's not. It's not a spoiler to say it might upset people.
It is a little.
It feels like a spoiler.
Although everybody's been talking about it. Yeah.
Okay, so we all saw Infinity War over the last week or so. It's been out about 2 weeks, week and a half, something like that. And it's safe to say it's had an effect. It's definitely had an effect on people. So, Natalie, do you want to go first? What are your thoughts?
Whoa, I never get to go first.
Well, first time for everyone.
Thanks. Hi. Spoiler free. Do I talk about my emotions?
If you want, as long as you don't spoil why you feel those emotions.
Okay, so I was really happy and joyful and sorrowful and all of those feels. I don't know, I'm just feeling like it was awesome, but now I'm really sad.
Cool. Isaac, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, it was pretty fun. It was kind of it got a bit predictable, and it was kind of it was okay.
We will come back to that in the spoiler section. There's a bit of a to be continued.
Yeah,
I'm really interested. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you've got to say.
We will find out.
That sounds crazy.
Maybe.
Kat, what did you think? Now you've had a week or so to digest it. You were on the 4 a.m. podcast where we were all a bit tired and blindsided, so...
A bit delirious. Yeah. I think I'd say I very much agree with Nat. I'm very, it was awesome, but I'm really sad, and I've seen it another time since, and the emotions were still very much the same. Without any spoilers, I would say it's very much, you know, it feels like the culmination of 10 years of cinema. It's definitely got a magnitude to it that a lot of the other films, you know, have only ever hinted at. This definitely, you know, brings all the cosmic sort of consequences together in quite a good way, I thought. And yeah, I mean, it didn't go where I thought it would go, but where it did go broke my heart. In ways that I definitely did not expect. So, you know, there's that. Ultimately, yes, like, great experience watching it, but obviously, you know, from a storytelling standpoint, they did good. They broke our hearts in a million pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's still quite a devastating, quite bleak viewing experience, but kind of in a good way. It's, you know, the first Avengers film, as I talked about on our magnum opus before, was, you know, it made me feel really excited and really, you know, switched on. I was ready for more action, so to speak. But this is kind of the opposite, but it's the intended opposite, so it does make me feel a bit deflated by the end of it. I mean, it is great. I love seeing all the characters come together. I liked all the little groupings. I loved all the interactions. It just all came together really nicely for me, and possibly one of cinema's best villains as well.
Whoa, what a sweeping statement.
I know, but we'll go into more why shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are my kind of spoiler-free thoughts. If you want a bit more incoherent spoiler-free thoughts, listen to a 20-minute discussion that happened at 4 in the morning when it came out. That'll be in the show notes. You can click on that and listen to that. It's delirious, is what it is. So, if we all have nothing else to say without spoiling it, I will snap my fingers and take us into the spoiler section.
Huzzah!
Yeah, it's not very. I would say huzzah.
Yeah, it's the opposite of a huzzah, but
Well, yeah, whatever the sound may be.
Yeah. Well, is everybody ready to descend into spoilers?
yeah.
Born ready.
Now we can say whatever we want. Right, so start with story. I mean, we'll chuck in everything, but story is a good place to start. The thing that struck me about this more is that it's not really an Avengers film. It's a story about Thanos that happens to have the Avengers in it. Well, the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're not technically on that team. So I thought that approach was really interesting, because if you look at Thanos' arc, it is very much a kind of, it's a 3-act structure. You know, he wants something, he gets something, and by the end of the film, he essentially achieves what he sets out to do, and everyone else is just kind of moving around within that and getting in his way. So that approach was interesting, and the fact that they're basically introducing this character in this film, it was arguably necessary to make him work as a villain. What's everybody think about that?
I don't know that I would say this is a film about Thanos. It definitely has a lot more of him than any other Marvel movie has, you know, deigned to include its villain. You know, we've seen a lot more of his story and his kind of side of things to understand him more. But I don't know that this is more of a Thanos film any more than it is, you know, a film about any of the other characters. I would say that it very impressively brings a very large cast of characters together, and it manages to be a multi-ensemble film that, you know, like we get everybody's bits and bobs, and you know, in a very satisfying way. Like, I thought it would feel messier, if you know what I mean. Like, I thought it would feel like there's too much going on that we can't keep up, but everything somehow is more coherent in this film than in a lot of previous Marvel films, which have felt a lot messier than this. But I don't know that it's Thanos' movie. Yeah, I don't know about that.
His art drives the film, though. Like, everybody reacts to what he does. And
yes.
Obviously it begins and ends with him. And he is the one
Sure.
that has more of an arc than anyone else does.
I have to say, I don't think it is a film about Thanos. You've got too many characters for you to say it's just about this one person, you know. he's the bad guy, but that doesn't mean that for any movie that's got a bad guy that the film's about them.
No, and in previous Marvel films, the villains have suffered because they don't spend enough time on them. But this is, the opposite. And it's not that the other characters don't do anything or don't experience anything or don't develop in any way. It is predominantly his journey. And I saw someone...
But it's all of their journeys, so it's not just his. I think that this film was so successful because it's looking at so many people's journeys and what they're doing. In fact, it jumps to so many different ones that I just don't... I get what you mean, that he's like this weird... He's like the driving force of a lot of the characters' actions, but that doesn't mean the film is just about him, or that it's a film about him.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Just me personally, I feel like it's predominantly about him because, it's his story in effect. It's what he's looking for. It's what he achieves. It's what he wants. Everyone else just has to try and stop him. With a great degree of futility, it has to be said. It's also a film that's about loss and defeat because everybody loses and is defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's not he's still like an Ultron. They still focus on his beginning and stuff. So I wouldn't say Thanos is any different to the other ones. Like they always introduce the villain in that the film, and we do see a lot from his perspective, and we sit down with him more than the other villains, and he has a chat and whatever. But I don't think he's it's not entirely from his perspective. I think there's problems with certain. Well, the main one is they spend ages and ages in what kind of feels a bit like sort of a PS2 style quest building Thor's new hammer. But then
I love that.
But then I just think there's a bit where really important stuff sort of zoom past. There's a bit where no one has ever seen or found the Soul Stone. Gamora, have you been looking for it? Oh yeah, it's here. It's on this planet. But then so and there's it seems to be some out of nowhere. It's oh yeah, I found it. It's here. Red Skull got it. But then we got but in the meantime, oh no, there's a slight defect on the machine that builds your new axe. So he's got to go fix this thing. And there's a lot of focus on him building his new hammer, and everything else just sort of not everything else. But
I don't think that there's disproportionate focus on the hammer. The hammer's just one of several. It's like saying there's a disproportionate focus on Iron Man and Spider-Man being on a spaceship with Doctor Strange. It's just one of the stories. It's not. I don't think that it focuses on that any more than it does on the other stories.
I think it'd be more it's the least it's the least interesting story.
Speak for yourself, friend.
But it seems, I know you're a big Thor fan, but it's the least of all the finding out about the Infinity Stones and stuff, and trying to protect the Time Stone and where the Soul Stone is and everything. Do we need to see there's a lot to get along in this film, and a lot of it is let's go build a hammer. I don't know. I don't
think that is a huge part of it. There's do you mean the questing of it or the physical making of it?
Right, we went to the sort of from the going off with Rocket and Groot, and they went to the star, and it's the star's out, and they meet Peter Dinklage, and then they have to do various things to get the star back going again.
Maybe you just found that part of the film really interesting, that you thought that the whole film was just that. Because that's such a small part of the film. They disappear for so long. There's a point when I'm where's Thor? Bring me Thor. And I whooped out loud. I was woo! Whenever he came back, because I was mate, we've missed you. He was away for too long.
He does have a bit more screen time than I think some of the others. Captain America, for instance, who I think has about 10 lines, maybe?
But what's he going to do? He can't do anything.
He can do things.
No, not really.
I think that the story focuses more on the cosmic part of like the side of the Avengers and like Guardians of the Galaxy that's more space focused, because that's where Thanos comes from. And, say what you will about Steve, but he, bless his heart, is not a cosmic superhero. He's very much Earth-based. His powers are very much, punch bad dudes in the face sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And, I love him, but that's it. And, what can Steve do in the face of Thanos? Like, he just gets punched in the face, really hard, and then that's it. Game friggin' over for Captain America. That was really swift. But I really think that the next film, and I suppose that's, that will come later in the podcast, we're gonna get to that, where we think the story will go, but I think the next film will have a lot more Captain America than this film did. And that's okay. Like I said, a little bit of a balance, I think, is good. I felt that the story focused on the right parts for Thanos' story to make sense, for us to understand, where he's coming from, where, all this Infinity Stone business is finally concluded, and the characters who have had more dealings with the Infinity Stones, they're at the focus. And I think that's great. I think it works. Obviously, they couldn't have had an equal share of time between, is it 64 characters or something crazy? You can't possibly share screen time between that many people and, in an equal way and have that be, a story that makes sense. Obviously, you're going to have to shift focus here and there. And this is a two-parter, which people forget sometimes. I think it's fine that some people didn't get as much screen time. They'll get their turn, and it's gonna be probably equally devastating, I am sure.
But he does get screen time, because there's the whole area when they're in Wakanda that's just
for sure. Yeah. It's not that he's not in it.
Earthbound people.
He may be on screen, but he doesn't say very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same with Black Widow. She says 2 or 3 lines, I think. It's not many.
But she's super cool in this, though.
Yeah, she does have some really cool... Yeah, well, absolutely. I was going to say that, yeah.
But the thing is, if you look at all 3, as we have it now, Avengers films, if you look at the screen time across all 3 of them, it probably evens out pretty much, because Thor had very little screen time in Age of Ultron, but he has much more screen time here. So it's kind of like whoever's directing Avengers films is kind of bearing in mind, right, who had less last time, we'll give them a bit more this time, But
the thing is, though, they shouldn't all be equal. They're not equal. Why should they have their time divided up? They're not equal.
Well, they're all stars of their own franchises, so,
Do you think it also matters on...
I think there's one franchise, Craig. I think this is just the one franchise. Not everybody has a franchise. It's the MCU is the franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have the Thor sub-franchise.
They're all stars of their own movies.
Yeah.
No, it's a series. I don't know that I would call it a franchise. Anyway, I mean, I don't know.
Do you think the effect of the previous film... Because like you were saying, Thor's not in Age of Ultron much, but that was after the Dark World, which isn't liked by everybody. But everyone loved Ragnarok, so they were like...
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they went like, well, put more of him in, because he was really popular.
I think by the time they knew how popular or unpopular these films were, it was too late to make too many changes. Because remember, these are all being scripted and prepared and produced at the same time, more or less.
Oh, don't tell me that. It ruins the magic.
So it's, the thing is, Black Panther isn't in this film as much as people expected him to be, because they had no idea how popular it would be while they were making this film to begin with, and a lot of his filming when this film was being filmed would have been, well, Black Panther was being filmed, so not as much time to bring T'Challa in either.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's like the mechanics.
But also, he just had a whole movie a few months ago.
Yeah.
So that's quite all right now.
I thought I was going to see more of him, to be honest, because I thought that that's what the whole point of us getting to know the Black Panther. Why he was even, why we were even bothering to. Well, I think,
as I said, I think that with the Black Panther movie, we got to know Wakanda, and we got to know the tribes, and M'Baku and Okoye and Shuri and all of these people so that when they show up in Infinity War, they don't need to introduce them or have any other kind of like sub-story going on. Like, they've had their story, they've had their conclusion, now here's their contribution to Infinity War.
Yeah,
you know,
and
like,
they all got
not
absolutely destroyed.
everything. I mean, you know, like, not everybody's gonna have like the same sort of effect, especially, as I said, when dealing with cosmic things. Like, what's, you know, even though T'Challa's great and he has the great suit and, like, you know, those spiritual powers and stuff, but, like, what's he gonna do against Thanos and, like, the 6 Infinity Stones? Like,
But they've got magic. They've got magic and
A little
stuff.
bit.
I hope we get to see Okoye as the next Black Panther in the next one.
Yeah, I love her. She's great.
She's the best one.
She's the best. Exactly. Thank you. She's the best part about Black Panther.
It's like you say, like one of my favorite
Black
lines of this
Panther,
one.
man. She's amazing.
Wait,
Which one?
has Isaac not seen Black Panther?
No, I missed. I'm not seeing that one. It's not on DVD yet.
Oh, it's
Maybe on
really
DVD.
good. Yeah.
Well,
It's
that was the
enjoyable.
best line of this one was where she was like, "Oh, when he said we're opening Wakanda to new things, I thought you meant the Olympics or Starbucks."
Yeah.
I'm just thinking,
Oh,
what would
they've got some
Wakanda be like in the Olympics? They would just get golds and everything. Everyone there is an athlete. It wouldn't be funny. It'd be, although they couldn't enter T'Challa because he's taken that Black Panther herb thing. So you know that would be like
Oh yeah, doping.
Yeah. So there's a thought.
Every Marvel superhero is at some point taking some substance. It's super fun.
Sometimes accidentally though.
Yeah.
Still did it. Whether they were conscious of it
Still
or
in the
not, they
blood.
still did it.
Yeah,
I mean, Captain America's just a walking bag of drugs. Like,
He is a drug.
Yeah, all those people that spent like, decades.
Hell
trying
yeah.
all those people that spent decades trying to recreate the super soldier serum, and then the same thing essentially grows in Wakanda. You know, so it's, what a lot of wasted time for the Western world.
Yes.
Because you see that when Cap and Black Panther are running into battle, like they're running at the same pace, and you know they're about as strong as each other and as fast as each other and all that stuff. So they're basically the same power set.
Yes.
So in terms of the kind of character distribution, I thought it was about right. I mean, there's maybe some characters I expected to see a bit more of, but I think that's more personal preference than anything else. You know, I really like Captain America, so I wanted to see a bit more of him, but I understand why there wasn't a bit more of him. Thor's quest to build a hammer, the mechanics of it, as in I have to go here and do this, may not have been as interesting, but I liked his interaction with the Guardians. I thought that was brilliant, and that's what made it.
I absolutely loved all of the banter between him and Chris Pratt. They were like, it was like so adorable. Loved it. When he was all feeling threatened and had to put on like a nice little accent and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, you're so cute." So
Star-Lord feeling emasculated by the presence of Thor.
Yeah, it was really cute.
I can't argue that anyone else wouldn't feel the same. If Chris Hemsworth wandered in, I think I'd feel a little bit threatened as well.
Well, it was adorable.
I think he just has that effect on people.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked the discussion that was kind of about how Peter Quill is one sandwich away from being fat. I thought that was really funny. And it's, a good reference to
I
Chris
loved
Pratt.
that they addressed it because he definitely put on weight. He absolutely put on weight, and I love that they addressed it within the film. And it was a very Peter Quill thing to say, like, do you think I'm fat? What? Gamora, you think I'm fat? Like, that was great.
Yeah, like Chris Pratt is more of an Andy Dwyer than he is a Star-Lord, isn't he? He's...
It's true. Well, I think Star-Lord has a lot of of Chris Pratt in him. Like, I recently watched The Magnificent Seven, and he's basically Star-Lord but a cowboy. Like, that's it. It's just like the same character.
I just mean in terms of physique. He has always freely admitted that
he was Andy Dwyer first.
Yeah. I always mean I think he said himself he's naturally a bigger guy, and he had to
For sure, yeah. He lost a lot of weight for the first Guardians film. But yeah, like I love that, you know, the physical difference was addressed within the film, and, you know, it made for some humorous banter. Yeah, I thought it was really great.
Yeah. And it didn't affect him in like the action sequences any. He was still jumping around, running around.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys saying that he's fat? Because he's not fat.
No, he's not fat.
He's not fat, but he put on weight. He's definitely bigger than he was in the Guardians movie.
Well, I still think he's really hot, so...
Well, yeah, like, not in a fat, unattractive way, but he put on weight. Like, it's possible to put on weight and still be attractive. That is definitely a possible thing.
Plus, next to Thor, I think anyone looks fat. So.
That's true.
Yeah, but that was some of my favourite banter in the film. This is speaking of someone that wasn't crazy on, well, more the first Guardians film than the second, but I think Thor fed into that kind of tone very well, especially after Ragnarok. And it was
yeah, of course.
And it wasn't jarring after it just been all this dark stuff for Thor. He was still kind of joking about, and you know, I don't need a spoon. On
well, yeah, but that's because that's actually something that Chris Hemsworth said. Like, he expressed a concern that his scenes, originally the script, the Thor scenes were much darker. But he said, you know, we've just come out of Ragnarok, and there was a lot of humor in that, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Thor scenes to be super dark. Like, there should be a little bit more humor. And so they rewrote some of the scenes to be funnier, following, like, the tone shift in Ragnarok, which I think makes a lot of sense. I thought that Ragnarok was, if anything, closer to Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of tone than it was to any of the other Avengers films.
Yeah,
if anything, like, I thought that Ragnarok was a great bridge to bring in that kind of, like, wacky space kind of aesthetic into the MCU as a whole, and I think we definitely saw a lot more of that in Infinity War.
Yeah, and I like that you kind of got a bit more of the just the kind of the blundering Thor as well. You know, when he comes into a situation and he's just stoating about, just breaking stuff.
Yeah, he's always been that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always been the guy who just charges in, asks questions later. He would rather just, like, hit some people with a hammer than, you know, come in and do diplomacy and talk his way out. He's not great at that, but he's great at punching his way out of things.
And I think my favourite scene in the film was the scene he had with Rocket just before they got to... I can't pronounce the name of the... I've forgotten the name of the place.
Nidavellir?
Yeah, that. Yeah, the Dwarf Star place. But where he was talking about everything that he'd lost and how that had motivated him, and he was at the point where, you know, he doesn't feel like he could lose anything else. But it's the kind of like the tear in his eye as he said that. I thought it was really good. It was almost like he was trying to convince
he's been
himself.
through a lot.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to know why we started to talk straight away about all of this. We didn't even talk about the fact that the first 2 minutes of the film and we've lost Loki. Are you joking?
Oh, yeah. Ooh, you have a major point here. Okay. Yes. Right, so...
Because, like, the film starts, and then that happens, and I was like, what the is going on? So, funny story. My best friend and I, we've been obsessed with Thor since, like, 2009 or 2010, whenever Thor came out. And she's a massive Loki fan. And before we went in to see the film, I kid you not, 2 days before, she turns to me and she says, "Here's what I think will happen. We're gonna open up with the Asgard ship in pieces. Everybody's dead. Loki will die doing something stupid, and then
Thor will get picked up by the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure that, like, Loki will survive well into the conflict. And we all know that what happened is exactly what she said. And I'm like, how could you possibly, like, predict the entire, beginning of the film? What? And I'm still kind of mind blown over this. I'm still like, I can't even.
Comic-Con footage came out, because they showed the Thor Guardians footage at Comic-Con, like, last year.
No, before. Well, She was I don't think that she keeps track of these things, so she didn't watch any of that. Yeah. If anything, she was watching interviews from the press tour on YouTube, and she noticed that all of the cast members were like, "Oh, we had never met Tom Hiddleston until just now," and she was like, "Wait. If he didn't film any scenes with them, that means he dies early." And so, by extrapolation, she came to the conclusion, and she was right. Yeah. As she very often is.
Although Tom Holland was talking about how he was, like, acting against just some random guy with CGI balls on his face who would eventually become Benedict Cumberbatch. So, like, maybe that's just a special thing they do for Tom Holland because he can't be trusted. But I don't know. But it could be that actors weren't always in the same room and they were sharing scenes together, which is a bit kind of Star Wars prequely in terms of production, but it doesn't show, which is good. If that's what they did, But Loki's death, I wouldn't say I was shocked by it because I was kind of expecting it, mostly because I think as a character in this franchise, there's nowhere else for him to go because he's been the betrayer, he's been evil, and now he's been redeemed. So what's left other than him just, like Spike and Buffy, he'll just hang around despite the fact that there's no place for him anymore. So I think it's probably the logical point for Loki to go off, and I think maybe death is brutal, but it's a good end point for him. He ends kind of on a high note.
I'd say yes, but also, like, I think we underestimate Loki's role in the MCU as a whole. Like, really, if we look back at the MCU proper, everything bad that happens can be directly traced to Loki. If Loki hadn't been like, okay, I'm gonna banish my brother to Earth and try to rule, we wouldn't have had, like, everything that happens in the first Thor film, obviously, and then him at the end being a petty little, like, weasel saying, oh, like, my brother says, okay, I can come back, but no, I'm gonna, like, go floating off into space and make a deal with Thanos to rule Earth in exchange for an Infinity Stone. So then he comes to Earth, Avengers movie happens, directly linked to Loki being a little snivelly, like, ugh. Anyway, I love him, but also, my God. And then everything that happens in, like, with the, like towards the Age of Ultron. So, like, everything that happens with the Mind Stone, Wanda Maximoff getting her powers, Ultron being created, Vision being created, all of those things, it's because Loki messed up, lost the Mind Stone, had to go back to Asgard. Ragnarok happens because Loki has been just, like, not paying attention over the 9 realms. Meanwhile, Thor is going around trying to find Infinity Stones. Just, like, everything could go back to just, like, boy, you just want to sit him down and roast him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of plot can be connected to him. And
yeah,
but his certainly the end point of Ragnarok was the point where he was, redeemed, or as redeemed as he can
he
be.
Finally came round. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
or he came round for that week. I don't know. Well, I mean, he's not
for a
completely
hot
redeemed because he picked up the Tesseract. He was like, I'm having this.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, it's his fault that all of Asgard's people are dead. Or
exactly. It's just this boy just can't stop.
So his nature, I don't think he can help it though.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know?
It's true.
Like a wild animal.
But
Yeah.
before he dies, we lose Heimdall, which is a shame.
I know. But also, it was
And
kind of
he's
time.
also
Like,
really good looking.
yeah. Who was it that called him Jesus, like Black Jesus, because he helps people? I think it was like one of those viral tweets. So, someone's kid said, oh, like I want to see the Jesus guy, and the dad was like, who? Well, the guy who was like helping people and saving them and taking them to the mountain. And the dad was like, do you mean Heimdall? And I just love that. I love, like, dreadlock, like, Rainbow Bridge Jesus guy. Yes.
Yeah. No sign of Valkyrie or Korg, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Valkyrie thing, I'm very upset. I would be very upset if it means that she died off camera and that we never get to see her again. Will scream if that's what happened. Something that Thor says that Thanos killed half his people, so maybe half his people are still alive.
If you look at the opening shot, there's another half of the ship, another section of the ship that's off to the side.
So maybe she's on that. Who knows?
Yeah, she must be because Thor doesn't say that he wiped out all of his people. Which, when he uses the Power Stone to blow up the ship, then that would be all of the people. So I think that there's a bunch of Asgardians sitting on the other side, other half of the ship, just terrified.
Yeah, I'd like to think that Valkyrie's not dead because she's too big a presence to just be rid of off camera. I wouldn't like that. I don't think that is fair to her character or to Tessa Thompson for that matter.
No.
I'm still holding out for a Valkyrie's movie. I think that
yes.
Because I think there's a lot setting up. Like there's a scene where the Okoye, Scarlet Witch, and Black Widow fight thingy. Valkyries introduces there's this whole group of female cool warriors, and then
it was
Wakandans
really
have got those characters, and then Captain Marvel's coming up. So maybe have a Valkyrie movie.
Oh, that would be amazing! Yes.
I know people are saying they want the solo Black Widow movie, but maybe just do a Valkyrie.
No, give us
movie.
A Valkyrie movie. Yes.
And have a whole Valkyrie movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or some kind of female Avengers type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't see why not. It would make all the money. Why not?
It would make all the money.
Or it would make some of the money. I think this film's making all of the money.
I think it would. That's true. Okay, yeah. In comparison to Infinity War, I guess it wouldn't make that much money, but it would make a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely. So those deaths were early on, and there is the potential for them to be undone, although I don't think they will be. I think any death that you see sort of happen at Thanos' hand in this film will be permanent, with the exception of one, I think, potentially.
What?
Two.
You think even at the end that's permanent?
No, I mean for the one where Thanos physically kills someone.
All right,
with
okay.
his bare hands.
Yeah, okay.
Although I think Vision will be undone.
Possible.
I think possibly Gamora will be back.
No,
we'll see.
I was saying to you before we went, I was saying to Craig before we went in, Gamora can, one of the Guardians of the Galaxy can die forever, but they can still make Guardians movies. So it seems the obvious one. If you're doing any big permanent deaths, kill off a Guardian. Because if you kill off Thor, then you can't make any more Thor money. But if you killed off, say Gamora, or if it was Star
she's
Wars,
the most expendable.
They have
That's so
because they're only in group movies. You can lose a couple of them.
Oh my god!
If you were to make,
I suppose Zoe Saldana's going to be filming a million Avatar sequels for the next.
Yes, we're filming a million
1,000
Avatar sequels.
I still don't think those are happening, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, they're
I don't know how I feel about that.
Shooting, soon, but yeah. Who wants them?
Well, nobody wants them. That's the thing. They can make them, but nobody wants them.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because I'm sure that Zoe Saldana made some song and dance about she was doing scenes for the fourth film. She mentioned that. So
well, I have a theory.
Head trip stuff.
Yeah, I have a theory about where they might take Avengers 4, but I think it's too soon in the podcast to talk about that.
Yeah. So what do we think of Team Iron Man? I don't know, we'll just call it Team Iron Man. Biggest ego of the team. Well, Strange has a pretty big ego as well. Team Ego, we'll call it that. And it's not the planet.
Alright.
I thought it was a good team. Spider-Man in space. I don't know, it's a bit... It feels a bit soon because, he helps out in Civil War. But essentially he's...
Absolutely.
There.
I mean, my main concern going into this film, I was like, Peter Parker is a child. He has no part in this cosmic galactic conflict, He's a high schooler. Leave him alone. Leave him out of this. Keep him safe. And I was concerned about, the irresponsibility of bringing Spider-Man into this. So I was glad to see that, even within the film, Iron Man keeps saying, you shouldn't be here, go home. He tries to keep him out, but, obviously once he's on that ship and he stays.
It's like hundreds of light years
and he does prove useful, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, he does prove useful at the end, but, ultimately, he is a child, and, he was the person I was most afraid for, and, whenever what happened, yes, I was devastated, when Peter dies at the end. It was very emotional. I was sobbing in the cinema. I think the people next to me thought I was crazy. He is my precious son, and he must be protected at all costs.
Those people
that's what I say about Peter.
Of this film thought you were crazy.
Uh-huh. Oh yes, yeah. No, it was a room full of crazy people, but I was, I don't think that I can overstate when I was crying, and I didn't think because I didn't think this would happen. I was like, well, he is a child. They wouldn't kill Peter Parker. But they went there, and I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready at all.
I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I always have been. I always will be. And I think the fact that he's kind of in space it maybe feels a bit soon for the character, but it's also very in character because he is always someone that's horrendously overwhelmed all the time. Every situation he gets into is essentially above his pay grade. In the comics, it's always been like that. He's just a normal kid who's struggling to be a hero, and situations just keep escalating beyond his control. His death is a real punch in the gut because, well, everyone else just kind of vanishes, but he's the one who just, I don't feel so good. And then apologising for, I don't know what he's apologising for, but...
probably for sneaking on the ship, yeah.
But he would have died anyway. In fact, they would have probably died sooner if it wasn't for him. But it's really devastating. I wonder if that's to do with his spider sense, because he can feel the other people die around him as well.
I think so. Yeah, I like that idea.
That's just one thought. I mean, they made a point of showing his spider sense earlier in the film, so But
isn't he he's the first? No, he's not. Because
no, he's the last.
Is he the
last death you see? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you include the post-credit scene. Yeah, but he's the last one to die. It's brutal. Yeah, it's the most brutal. Yeah, so I think Spider-Man was great, and amongst that, because you had this whole this dynamic where you had Strange and Stark battling egos, and then Parker in the background just trying to be taken seriously, but he just wasn't taken seriously, and it was like, is he your ward? It's like, no, God, no.
It's pretty sad.
And he's seen old movies as well. He's seen a lot of old movies.
Yeah, well, by old, you mean Aliens?
Oh no! Have you seen that really old movie, Aliens?
It's pretty cute. It's so cute.
And then he was chatting with Quill about Footloose. Is it still the greatest movie ever made? Never was.
Yeah.
It was really adorable.
That actually breaks one of the rules of fiction, where you should never have two characters with the same name in the same story, because it just confuses matters. So you've got two Peters in the same scene. I'm surprised they never actually referenced that. My name's Peter, so it's mine. Oh, that's confusing. And you've got two Steves, although they're not in the same scene, so it's okay.
When Iron Man's using his flip phone... I don't know that
Stephen Strange counts as a Steve.
No. Suppose not. He's either Doctor or just strange. What about his flip phone?
Yeah, like, see, the first time, this is because I'm not a real geek. Well, more than some people, but not as much as enough to be cool. So when he was using his flip phone, and then he's like, "Oh, I need to make that call, Steven Rogers." I was like, "Who is that guy?" It just comes away. But I like, and then he came on screen, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad like we made that call or something." And I was like, "Ah, he's Steven Rogers."
We all confirms it later on. So.
Yeah, I know. I was like really slow, but
I find it kind of
can't help
endearing that Stark always carries around this phone just fully charged at all times, in case he needs it.
Is that just his special phone for getting in touch with all the people?
No, Cap gave it to him at the end of Civil War when the FedEx guy turned up, who was Stanley. It's if you need me, call me on this disposable cell phone.
Oh, that's cute.
It is.
There's too many things that happens. I can't keep up.
Yeah, it's because Steve's old-fashioned gives him a flip phone. And that's why.
That's so cute. That's adorable.
And it has one number in it, Steven Rogers.
Oh, it's like giving somebody like your business card, but it's like better than that. It's like, this is actually how you can call me.
I'm just surprised it wasn't fed into like Tony's armor. He didn't have it like hooked in, so he could just make the call whenever he wanted. But
because sometimes it's about the object.
Yeah,
the
one that he dropped.
That's more poignant.
Yeah. He drops it, and Bruce picks it up and ends up making the call. I would have loved to hear that conversation. Hi Steve, it's Bruce. Been a while. Got a situation here.
Yeah. Yeah, hey man, can you go pick the Wanda up? Because I'm pretty sure that they're gonna have trouble. Alright, bye.
It was weird that Stark assumed that Steve Rogers would be the one to find Vision, because Steve's not so good at finding anyone, really. I think he probably should have said Romanov, because she does find people. She did it for a living. That's just a nitpick.
Yeah. Maybe, but I mean, I think he called Steve A because I don't think that they all like have swapped phone numbers after Civil War. Like the flip phone was the only way to contact anyone on Team Cap's side. So it was like, we're gonna call this number and hope that one of the people on Team Cap's side is gonna pick up and we can coordinate this thing. I don't think that everybody has each other's numbers anymore. What with half the Avengers being fugitives at this point.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It was just a nitpick. I just thought that maybe like Romanov's the first. She can find people kind of choice.
But you're assuming that they would be apart somehow. Like I think he was assuming that they'd all be together, which was basically what happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Flying around in their stolen jet that they can somehow refuel.
Yeah.
Don't know how they're doing that, but I don't know. It's just infinite fuel. That's what it is. It's a video game jet. But yeah, Team Iron Man. Any thoughts on Team Iron Man? The kind of interactions and when the Guardians show up, or some of the Guardians.
When do the Guardians hang out with Iron Man?
When they get to Titan.
When?
When Nebula calls Mantis and says, "Meet me on Titan," and they all go to Titan.
Oh yeah, and then they're all like, "Who are you? You're the bad guys."
Yeah.
And we're not the bad guys. You're the bad guys. Okay, yeah. I remember that now. Okay.
Yeah, putting them with the Guardians was good fun. I thought there were some really good bits. I like it when Mantis says, "Take ass, kick names," or whatever.
Yes, kick names, take ass. Yeah. Yes.
And Stark is just speechless. He has no response. Yeah. He gives them that look he just has no words. That was brilliant.
Yeah. I think there's a lot. This is something that I kind of didn't like every time that Tony Stark meets someone new, it's with such extreme distrust that like he's expecting them to convince him that they are the good guys. Whenever Stephen Strange shows up, Stark has like a pathological need to prove that he's better, he's smarter, he's on top. Like it takes Stephen Strange to say, "I'm protecting your reality, douchebag," to put like Stark in his place. Just like stop trying to one up me. Like we're all on the same team. My God. And so whenever the Guardians show up, but it's like, no, like you're the bad guys, and everybody's shooting at everybody, and it's like, Tony Stark needs to stop. He needs to stop. Stop it. Just stop it.
It's Quill that shoots first.
I mean, of course he would.
Yeah. Because they just rush in and start attacking because they see people on Titan and assume they must be affiliated with Thanos. But yeah, it does result in a temporary alliance, after they fight a little bit. Yeah, it's a superhero thing, though. Every time they meet for the first time, they have to fight a bit. It's mandatory, apparently.
Yeah, I know. It's just that it's been the norm, though, since the first Avengers film. Stark always has to have the quippy one-liner, and, he has to come out on top of every scene. And I felt that, there was a lot of it in this movie, and I wasn't a fan of those scenes, I have to say. But that's just me, I guess. Like everybody loves, snarky Tony Stark, which is fine, I suppose. It's just I think it's a bit two-dimensional for character development. Just like, can you pause your snarkiness for a second and like try to save the world? Okay, thanks. I don't know.
Well, I really didn't like Iron Man's suit in this one because it was just silly. Like it was just. And I know the idea is that they're pitching Doctor Strange and Iron Man against each other because one of them's a scientist and one of them's a magician, and he keeps calling him a wizard. But all of his stuff is like Iron Man can turn his arm into like a laser cannon and his feet into rockets. So it's basically the same. It's like they're both basically magic. So all that stuff where like they try to do that. Oh, it's the two different thingy dynamic off. Well, it doesn't work when Iron Man has more powers than Doctor Strange anyway. So it seemed a bit like it was too. Like his suit was too overpowered and too silly, and there was too much stuff for it. That he can no longer be the justifiable reality guy.
Yeah, his suit was very magical. It's like nanotech. Nanotech is that kind of sci-fi wizardry now. Yeah, you can just explain it away. It's like the microbots in Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
They can do anything. And there was actually a bit of that reminded me of that, where Thanos is just beating away bits of Stark's suit and there's very little of it left. It's essentially the same thing they used to defeat the villain in Big Hero 6 by destroying as many of the microbots as possible.
I've not seen that.
No, you should watch
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe like they all had to have amazing technology because in Black Panther they're so technologically advanced, and now that they're all friends and he's been introduced, it's like they can't be like a level behind Black Panther. They all have to be sort of just obscenely technologically wonderful.
Well, they haven't shared it all yet. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they have, because they're like, when Captain America's there, they're like, oh, we'll go and get you like a shield, because they're like, they have the wherewithal for getting him
but they haven't
more
shared
stuff.
Yet,
That we know of, maybe, but I still was like, it's obviously capable of existing, and I think once it's been dreamt up in one universe, even though they're the same universe, you know what I mean, like the universe being the movie, I'm like, as soon as they've introduced that, they can't go back to like more basic technologies when it does exist in Black Panther. They have to just keep on going forward and doing more ridiculous things.
Well, they kind of had a bit of that where Shuri was laughing at Banner for, not being smart enough. Why didn't you just try this? It's like, because I didn't think of that.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you tried your best, sweetie. Yeah. Smiley face.
Shuri, I'm only 16 and I'm the smartest person in this room.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a treasure trove. Yeah, she is, yeah. I think there's a treasure trove of, Shuri just like putting Tony Stark down with her brilliance. which we haven't tapped into yet because they don't meet in this film. But, there is potential, I'm sure, for that. Iron Man suits keep, quote-unquote, evolving throughout the franchise. So, like, you see him start with, like, hunks of metal, then, he has the remote control ones, then there's, every film sort of keeps improving on the concept. And nanotech is just the latest, as you say, it's kind of like the magical science-y thing nowadays. Everybody loves a good nano thing. And I thought that it was an interesting take on the suit. Definitely, I think, the most practical design that he's come up with, because it's versatile and it can transform itself into whatever he wants. And that's what he's needed the whole time, and I'm glad that he's got it now. It's still obviously not perfect. It's still not, indestructible or impenetrable. Obviously it's vulnerable to damage, and he definitely wasn't ready for the level of damage that he has had to withstand in this film, for sure. But that being said, I thought that it was an interesting kind of improvement on the Iron Man suit. I don't know where it could go from here. Like, I just can't possibly imagine. Obviously, Shuri probably has some thoughts. She could probably fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can fix that stuff right up. Yeah. Pretty sure. But yes, I'll agree with Isaac that it was a bit, a bit gimmicky, a bit, I guess his suit is friggin' perfect because he can do whatever he wants with it. Yeah. And yeah, there is a certain point where you go, all right, like, that's ridiculous now, fine. I guess, he can just, like, make it rematerialize after it's been punched off of him. I guess that's fine. Yeah.
Well, at least the nanotech was finite, once it got destroyed, then, it got to the point where the suit couldn't reassemble itself anymore, so he doesn't have much left.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which raises a very interesting question about the end of the film. Like, how the hell does he get off that planet?
Well, I think
and back to Earth?
Actually, quite a simple one, because the Milano's got to be parked nearby.
Is it?
Yeah, because how else did Star-Lord, etc. get there?
I suppose.
Doctor Strange, I think, was more comic book Doctor Strange than he was in his own film. I really loved all the spells that you saw, and him like multiplying himself and all this stuff. I mean, that was just the mirror dimension he was using at that point. But there was so much weirdness going on, and I loved seeing that.
Doctor Strange was super cool.
It seems you have a lot of thoughts on Doctor Strange. you scribbled notes loudly about.
I scribbled notes about Doctor Strange because, so remember when he's like sat down and I think Iron Man's like, what are you doing? And he's like going all like weird and blah, 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 and he looks like he's doing some sort of like weird crazy thing in his head. And then he's like, I'm going through all the possible scenarios.
Yep.
Right, so remember that. And then he says, alright, what did you see? And he's like, well, there's like 14 million whatever outcomes. And then he says that there's only one possible outcome where they survive.
Yeah, where they win, yeah.
Yeah, where they win. That's okay, yeah, where they win. Can I hear you guys' thoughts on that? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think he's telling the truth, or do you think he's telling a lie? Because if he's lying, he's doing it to give humanity hope.
He'd only be giving Tony Stark hope. And that's pretty bleak.
And not a lot of information.
I think he's telling the truth. I don't think there's an element of him lying. I think, if anything, I was expecting, whenever Tony Stark asks, like how many of those do we win, I honestly thought the answer would be none. So the fact that there is one, I'm feeling pretty good about this.
Yeah.
And I think it also explains what he does, because they've had the whole like exchange where he's like, if it comes between you or the kid or the stone, I'm going to protect the stone. But then when it comes to, like, the stone at the end, he very readily gives it away, which must mean that the only way for them to win is for Thanos to win first.
Yes. This is exactly what I was like thinking, because he says
for sure.
it was the only way. It was the only way, and I was like, well, the only way is the 1 in 14 million, and so he's playing it along.
He would die. He must have known this.
Well, I wonder though that it's the only way, and that it's all temporary deaths. It's the only way, and then they'll all magically be brought back, like, because something's going to be undone.
I have a very good theory about what this means, and I am convinced that that's what's going to happen. And if it's not this exact version, then maybe it's something similar. But hear me out. So there are some set photos floating around the internet from the 4th Avengers movie. And they are on the set of the first Battle of New York, so the first Avengers movie. And that in itself is very interesting, and a bit of a pointer. And what I think will happen is, so we still have Ant-Man and Captain Marvel coming up. Both of these films are obviously set pre-Infinity War. Captain Marvel is set in the 90s. So, you know, all of those things won't necessarily link up to Infinity War directly. But what I think will link up to the second Avengers film, the second part of Infinity War, is Ant-Man's quantum is it quantum field or quantum something or other? Realm, thank you. So I think what's going to happen is they are going to use that to kind of shift into an alternate dimension, go into all the moments where there have been Infinity Stones present, take the Infinity Stones, create their own gauntlet, and reverse what happened in the first Infinity War film. That way, we would get basically a visual journey through the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. We would get a chance to relive some of those great moments, you know, basically fix what went wrong, say goodbye to some characters, because I'm pretty sure that there will be some permanent deaths at the end of Avengers 4, no doubt about it. But the only way to, like, wrap up what at that point will be a the 22nd film, and ultimately, you know, an 11-year history, would be to go visibly back through all of the stories and have our heroes, like, basically solve the problem by going back and fixing their mistakes, sort of.
So how do you think they're going to do that? Like, how do you think they'll do that?
So
how are they going to go back in time?
So not back in time necessarily. I think it's going to be an alternate dimension thing. Because quantum theory basically is like it's the multiverse theory. It's the fact that, you know, like, several things exist in parallel, and, you know, like they all sort of exist at once. The idea that there's infinite universes where infinite things and possibilities are happening at any given time. You know, there's a universe where, you know, all of us never met. There's a universe where, you know, just like whatever, like all of the different possibilities. And so my guess is, because Ant-Man has cast Michelle Pfeiffer as the Wasp, and she is supposedly stuck in the quantum realm, right? So if she can come out of it somehow, or if Ant-Man can find her in that realm, that means that, you know, like, they will actually find a way to connect that quantum realm business from Ant-Man into the story at large. I think that's the only sort of thing that would make sense, because if you have, like, the Ant-Man story not connect with this in any way, it's a bit of a waste. Like, in that way, Ant-Man also gets to feel like part of this story, and I think that'd be cool, because he's great. You know, like I love Scott Lang. I love, you know, the heist movie aspect of Ant-Man. And so far, you know, Civil War notwithstanding, he's not been super useful. And it would be great if he was. And it would be great if, you know, ultimately his sort of shtick got to be the crux that will fix all of this. Somehow.
It'd be quite incredible if it became, like, if it was to rely on him. Although, I was talking to a guy at work, because I've got a new job now, and so I can talk to everybody about Marvel superhero wonderfulness. And I was talking to this guy at work, and he asked me who Adam Warlock was, and I didn't know. And he said that there's been, like, hints towards him for a little while now, but obviously, like, the end of this film is that it's going to lead on to Captain Marvel, so I'm not too sure where Ant-Man's going to play in this. Like, if he just came in and he was going to be the person who happens to hang about in, like, this other way of existing, and then that means that they can save everything.
I mean,
like, is it honestly going to come down to Ant-Man?
Apparently there was a draft of this film that had Adam Warlock in it, but then they thought it might have just been one too many things to chuck in.
Well, it would have been, because I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, actually, Craig, do you want to... Because who's he? So if you tell it, then everyone knows.
Well,
because I don't know who he is.
I'll put the bigger detail in the show notes because...
No, I want to know. Tell us now.
Yeah, because we can't talk about it if we have to read it in show notes.
Remember at the end of Guardians 2, one of the million post-credit scenes that they had, there was like a cocoon, and it was like, he's called Adam. We'll call him Adam. That was Adam Warlock. And he's basically a super powerful cosmic being. He's important in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. He can wield the gauntlet. He's powerful enough. He's a very confused sort of guy. I couldn't see him fitting into this film, and I'm glad he was cut, because it would have been that Deus Ex Machina thing that just chucks someone into the end who's super powerful, and, you know, it would have been like Vision and Age of Ultron in a way. But I don't think he's going to be super important. I think if they introduce him, he'll be in a Guardians film. That's
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I think they've said...
Is that where he would normally hang out?
Well, the Infinity Gauntlet story is a Marvel comic universe story, so kind of everybody has a go. And the Guardians of the Time, I believe, were in it. Gamora was there, and so on. But I think he's just one of those infinitely powerful beings that's not that interesting, at least in context of this kind of story. Because he would just be in there to fix it all, and that's not interesting.
I would say, like, in your theorized version where you have to go back to the reality stones? What are they called? Infinity Stones.
Infinity Stones.
Yeah, we have to go back to the Infinity Stone storylines, and it's sort of like, okay, now you have to go back to Thor: The Dark World, and they'll just like look at each other like, we'll pick up somewhere else. It'll be fine. We'll zoom past that one.
Yeah. Thor's like, oh, this was never my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, none. They're all sort of passing the phone around. It's a flip phone. It's got one number on it. It's Christopher Eccleston. It's like, he wants to phone him up and see if he wants to be back in it.
Yeah, you know, like, I think it would be very interesting to see everyone go back through, like, the stories that they lived, but them being different in some way.
Like with the knowledge of what has already passed.
Well, no, like,
just the
you know,
versions
like
of themselves that they meet.
Exactly, like going back to a universe where,
Earth
you know, Tony Stark is director of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead of Nick Fury. Like, wouldn't that be interesting? Because that happens in the comics at one point.
Post Civil War.
Well, that would go over my head because I literally don't know any of that stuff.
Well, they would
No, I mean,
present
it wouldn't.
really make
It wouldn't
sense for the
be
film.
exactly like it wouldn't be. You know, like a throwaway kind of reference. It would be like, well, in this universe, Tony Stark, you know, has succeeded his dad as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and, you know, like, whatever, here's this version.
If they did it as like a little
here and
5-second thing, and then they were like, but that's not the reality that we're in, because that kind of thing really annoys me.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they might do it, but I think it would be an interesting sort of thing, you know, like the alternate universe version of yourself, you know, like who would you be in another life sort of thing.
this is something they commonly do on the DC TV shows I watch. You know, they're always, well, in the Flash, anyway, they're always flitting between Earths, and you see different versions of different people, and you know, it's good fun. It is good fun, the kind of road not taken type thing. That storytelling has been used for, you know, a long time because people are interested in.
Yeah, for sure, and I think it makes sense for comic book stories because there's infinite versions of all of these characters already out there. Yeah, and you know, comic book fans can get a kick out of recognizing stuff, and the rest of us normal plebs can just be like, "Ooh, that's shiny."
Yeah, the multiverse has been mentioned in Doctor Strange. They haven't really gone into too much detail about what all that means yet, and the quantum realm, they haven't explored it at all. He just shows up. He just goes to it at the end of Ant-Man for a minute or two. I hadn't considered the whole quantum realm part of the theory, so that's interesting. I did think that there was going to be, because I have seen those set photos, so I did think about there was some kind of, there was going to be some kind of visitation of previous events, although my money was more on time travel than anything else.
Okay.
Who's to say who's right? I don't know. But
we'll see.
We'll find out this time next year.
Place your bets, folks.
Yeah, but those set photos have them wearing some kind of armbands or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that suggests that they need to do something in order to stay there.
They could be portable Ant-Man tech.
Could be, yeah. My thinking is, whatever it does happen, this will obviously be reversed. I thought it could be permanent to some degree until I saw Black Panther disappear, because his film just cleared $1 billion.
Yep.
So we're not getting rid of him.
Like, there is no way they're going to throw that much money down the drain.
Yeah, and then Spider-Man dies, and it's like, well, considering all the effort they had to get him, he's not going anywhere either.
No, exactly.
So I was thinking there'll be a reversal. I think that, but I was thinking about what the cost of that reversal could be, and part of me thinks that since it's been publicly announced that Chris Evans is off after the next one, that's it. He's calling time in this franchise. No more Captain America. I think the reversal will involve him in some way, and it will cost him his life.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it says about it takes a special kind of someone to wield all the Infinity Stones.
Yep.
So there's only a handful of beings in the universe that could do it, and I think Steve doing it would just be the end of him. That's my thinking.
Guys, what do you think about the whole broken gauntlet thing at the end? Where do we think Thanos is?
He's in the Philippines.
No, because there's like several moons.
Yeah, but you also see those birds, those flamingos.
A flamenco.
Flamingo.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, that was really cute.
Yes.
Yeah, because again, I was talking to this person at work. Yeah. Well, it looks kind of bashed, and their theory was that that Thanos has gone into the Soul Stone to be with Gamora, and I don't think that that's true, because do you know when he's showing who's it, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, who is he showing? He's showing somebody like what his planet used to look like and what his world used to look like, and he uses he changes the reality, and it's lovely, and he says that he just wants to go and watch a sunset on his planet. Like, that's what he would do when everything is sort of being restored.
He says he would look at the sunrise of a grateful universe. So I don't think he's home. I think he's somewhere there.
But it looks like it though. Like, do you know when he uses that vision and he makes the world change? That's what it looks like. Like, that's where it looks like he is. That's when I was watching it, I was like, whoa, he's made it back to, he's altered the reality to look like the perfect version of his planet.
I don't think so. I think he's just somewhere. I don't think he's back on Titan. I think
The
Titan's
Philippines.
gone. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But he can do anything, so he could have just brought it back. Or at least have the illusion that it's been brought back.
Oh, okay, yeah, like an illusion maybe. But it didn't, I don't know, it didn't look that similar to me. So,
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's just me. You have seen it twice. But yeah, because he's doing that. He's sitting down and he's watching the sun. And I was like, he's doing what he said he would do. He's chilling out. after destroying things.
The gauntlet looks a bit charred, but it also looks operational. I mean, he still uses the space stone to get away, for instance.
Exactly. I don't think it's completely broken.
Okay.
Plus, the gauntlet itself doesn't actually do anything. It just holds them.
Well, it does do something. It has to contain all of that power.
Yeah,
so it is doing something.
It's not a device. It's not a device in the sense of he presses a button and it does reality stuff.
Yeah, but obviously if that's broken, he's not going to be able to yield, like... I mean, he's still going to be really powerful because he's got all the stones, but is it not that they create, like, another level of power when they're, like, fused together in that way, using, like, some sort of, like, conductor or... whatever it is I mean, otherwise, why would he need the gauntlet?
Yeah, I think you can use each one. You can use them once, can't you? Like as themselves, but you need the gauntlet to like merge them. So, like, if you wanted to merge like reality and time, then you'd have to use like the gauntlet to do it. But you can still use like the time one by itself.
Okay, so this is like facilitating multiple. Because that was another thing. Because when this guy said that he thought Thanos was in the Soul Stone, I was like, well, how can he use all the other things? But maybe because of the gauntlet, you can.
Well, there is a point where he has some kind of Soul Stone inspired vision, because when he's in there, it's all orange, and he talks to the child Gamora.
The young Gamora, yeah. Who is it that does that? Whose film was it where they go and do that? Is it Doctor Strange? Thor?
No, this is the first appearance of the Soul Stone.
No, when he's talking in that sort of empty space.
Oh, it's Black Panther.
Is it Black? Oh yeah, because it's like the Lion King or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I remember now. So it's Black Panther then that we have seen a very similar thing. You
kind of see it in Thor as well. Well, in Ragnarok.
Yeah, because when he goes and he speaks to their dad, so I thought it's like that.
I've seen it written online that the Soul Stone might be like a storage facility for, well, souls. So that's where everyone is after they disappear. Because it's
all hanging out together.
Yeah, it's the idea of in the universe you can't create or destroy anything. You can only transfer it. So everyone who dies has to go somewhere. It's only a theory, but I think the Soul Stone's going to come into play in a big way in the next one, because it is one of those... It's very vague in terms of what it actually does or what it's actually for.
Well, I don't really know anything, so I have no idea.
So I think he'll be like haunted by Gamora in the next one, maybe.
Possible.
The point where he got the Soul Stone, I thought it was quite a powerful scene. You know, the whole the reveal he does actually care about someone, and it's Gamora, and he has to kill her in order to get the Soul Stone. That's like the price that he has to pay. I thought that was all really good stuff.
It was the first scene that had me in tears. I was not well. Yeah, Gamora's death had me like shook on a deep level that I was not expecting. I think hers was the death that I did not see coming at all. So like whenever things started going that way, and like it was revealed that the Soul Stone requires that which you love the most, and I'm like, well, Gamora is there, so that's handy. And then like I was surprised that she didn't see that coming. And yeah, like that gave Thanos some much deserved like depth, like we got to see the villain sacrifice something that was, someone that was very important to him. And that's some heartbreaking stuff. And then also, like, I don't know, it made me realize that I like Gamora a lot more than I thought I did. Like when you watch a movie and you're like, she's alright, but actually I think she's amazing. And, like I was devastated to see her go like that. Like I was thinking about everything that she has suffered and everything that she managed to get, in her brief time with the Guardians. She found a new family. She found, like, people who, like, liked her for who she was, people who, like, weren't murderous bastards, and finally she could be with, like a group of friends that valued each other instead of, like, tortured each other. And for that to be taken away, I was thinking of Quill and, like their fledgling romance, like all of that. And yeah, like also the fact that the bit of soundtrack that, you know, underlies that scene is probably the best song in the entire score. It was a lot. It was a big experience. Definitely the first crack in my heart that night.
Aww.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I kind of like the way they set it up earlier, where Gamora knew that she would be the kind of... She was all that was keeping Thanos from the Soul Stone, so it was... In order to make him fail, she could die, and that would be it. That would be the end of it. He would be able to get it at that point.
I didn't get why she attacked him with the dagger containing a stone. I was like, the thing that you should be doing is keeping that as far as you possibly can, not freaking stabbing him with it, because you know he's going to survive.
That wasn't the stone. Yeah, the stone was on the...
Doesn't he, like, take it?
No. It wasn't in the knife.
They made it look so colourful and shiny. I was like, whoa, that's got to be a gem. Oh well.
Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, you know, the way that they placed a lot of importance on that little knife, I was like, ooh, what if that's the Soul Stone? But yeah, it wasn't that in the end.
Of course. Oh, I was thinking it was like a different stone. Not even. Oh yeah, it's the Soul Stone. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Soul Stone was yellow at the end, so it wasn't that.
I'm surprised, by the way, because I thought that you for sure would have seen that death coming, because I feel like that sort of trick has appeared in several other films. You know, that whole
for sure. It's a trope. Yeah, it's a trope which I wasn't expecting them to use in this film. And, yeah, like, I don't know, I just didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah. No,
at the point I saw it coming was where it was talking about the cost, and then I remembered the previous conversation about if Thanos gets me, you have to kill me. And I was like, oh, right, okay, that's the cost, the thing he cares about, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. The reappearance of the Red Skull, kind of a surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
An unnecessary surprise, because it could have been anything. You know, it could have been just any wraith-like being.
But doesn't he live there?
It's the Red Skull who was in the first Captain America movie.
Yeah, but isn't that like his home?
It is now, I suppose. But you know, I suppose it's a nice little bit of fan service, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's nothing about it that needs to be the Red Skull. It's definitely not Hugo Weaving.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, because he hated that character, which is fair enough. I definitely didn't see the Red Skull coming back. It was a very interesting reappearance, because I was like, you know, like when you have that moment, you know, like, oh wow, the last time we saw him, he was like jettisoned into space by the Tesseract. So like that was so interesting that that's where he ended up. Just like, you know, a tiny little nod to one of the first films in the universe. Like, that was really cool, I thought.
Does that mean that everyone that was shot by the weapons that were made by the Tesseract has just been sent somewhere else?
Who knows? I mean, what weapons...
Of Nazis somewhere now, you know.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever get an answer to that question until it's the year 2040 and they're really out of ideas. And it's like, let's have the planet of Nazis from the...
Well, mate, they're probably working on it right now.
Yeah, and that's a story that I'm pretty sure I've seen in books somewhere. Like, isn't there like a third rate? Yeah, exactly. Like, isn't there like also like a third rate sci-fi movie that's like the Nazis are on the moon?
Yes. Oh yeah,
yeah,
like Red Storm or something.
But it's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, and there's a Star Trek episode where there's a planet of Nazis and whatever. And I'm sure there's a Marvel comic story where there's that as well. Yeah, it'd be the closest thing you ever get to Hydra Cap, Isaac.
Yeah, it's the closest Hydra Cap. Oh well.
Maybe one of these alternate universes that Cap's talking about will be the Hydra Cap universe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Hey.
You might get your
for the right wingers in the audience.
Yeah.
Who knows? just a bit about the Infinity Stones in general. I mean, I think the usage of them all is fairly consistent throughout. You know, the Power Stone, it lets him go toe to the Hulk, pull planets down, blow stuff up. The Space Stone lets him travel from anywhere he wants to anywhere else he wants. Time Stone, it's obvious. The Mind Stone, we've seen what that can do. But the Reality Stone was a bit weird, because it only seemed to affect reality when he was there, and not in anything fundamental as well. You know, like...
Yeah, he doesn't change things. It's basically like an illusion stone, really. Yeah.
So it's kind of rubbish, really.
Or maybe not if you're living it, though. You know, like if he's casting that, and that's your existence, and that's your reality, then it doesn't matter if it's an illusion or not, if that's all that you've got.
Well, theoretically, you should only need the Reality Stone, because when he says reality can be whatever I want, you know, can just be the reality that he wants where half the
but that's not enough, though, for him.
It was the most vague one. The Soul Stone was even vaguer, I think, but I think there's going to be more done with the Soul Stone in the next film, so that's why I think they kept it vague now. But the reality one is just kind of, it's like holograms or whatever. It is more visually interesting than those weird tendrils you got in Dark World that didn't do anything.
Do you guys think that Thanos is the most environmentally friendly person ever?
He's a radical conservationist.
He really is. He's mad for saving environments.
Mm-hmm.
Although he doesn't consider political, social, or economic factors.
Yeah, not at all. Like the fact that the post-credit scene that we get with, you know, Fury and Maria Hill in presumably New York or maybe somewhere else, but it's, you know, it happens. Yeah, and it happens right after Thanos has done the thing, and so, you know, people are starting to disappear, and it's like, you know, yes, the radical notion that if you have a population of a place, it will eventually thrive because the limited resources will be able to sustain a smaller number of people, sure. But what about the immediate consequences of half the people of any planet, just disappearing, you know, to helicopters and planes and other things that might, you know, kill other people or destroy the environment or whatever the consequences might be. Those, he definitely does not take into consideration. He doesn't care about the immediate ramifications of that decision. Very clearly, the effect that that has on the you know, immediate level, it's really scary.
But he's all about immediate action, you know, he's recognizing, he tries to sort of share, I think, early on in the film, though, that his planet was destroyed because of overpopulation, and that he saw a way that it could be preserved for the greater good. Now, it's funny because in the superhero films, the hero is all about going after what is best for the greater good, you know, and it's weird that this angle of working towards that works so negatively for him. I do sympathize for him because he does that at a cost to himself. So for him, he's acting like this, you know, self-sacrificing, you know, he's like a martyr, and I think you can see he gets really frustrated that people can't see that, and that he's not motivated by greed or anything else. Quite the opposite. You know, it's just that he recognises that there's no one else who's capable of making these decisions because he understands that they're hard. But I don't know, there was something about him. Gus said to me at the end, he was like, I knew that you would find something good about him, and I just was like, well, you can see that his actions, you know, he sacrifices Gamora, so you can see that that's him again trying to convince himself and others that what he's doing is not selfish.
But all of the best villains don't think they're villains. They think they're
the Joker. I mean, let's cut to another universe. The Joker knows that he's a bad guy.
Well, the Joker's an agent of chaos by his own admissions, not a bad guy.
So, but you know what I mean, though? Like, there are bad guys who are there to just be bad guys, but he is a really confused character. Not confused, but confused mind-wise, because he has that sort of... He's doing, like, what Loki does, where Loki thinks that people need to be, like, commanded for their good. But I definitely could see, like, that he had a point.
But it depends on, like, the problem with that, the greater good is...
Absolutely, yeah.
It depends on what people think is good. Like, some people might think, strength is important, and then, like, and compassion is less important. So it depends on...
Yeah.
Like, it depends, it's whatever Thanos' version of good is compared to, like, everyone else's version of good.
But he's talking about
your moral compass,
There are a few issues with his plan, of course.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that he commits, like, genocide on the biggest scale you could imagine. But the thing is...
Hitherto unthought of.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine... I mentioned it just recently about the kind of political, social and economic factors. So what you've got is, if you wiped out half the population of Earth right now, right, if a good chunk of that half were still like the 1%ers, nothing would change. You'd still have rich and still have
what do you mean the 1%ers? That's not what he's trying to do. He's just trying to say that I mean, it's a good message, I think, for us right now. Like, there are too many people. There are not enough resources. So you either have everyone suffer, or you eliminate half of that and then you give everyone else a better chance.
I mean, it's a very fascist. It's a very fascist point of view.
Yeah. I mean, Thanos could use the glove to double resources if that's a problem.
But then you have the whole you can't create or destroy energy in the universe.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like his thinking is, we've got to get rid of certain things to. Like, he's sort of using a crane to crush a fly thing. He's not actually thinking. He's not putting any thought into it. It's like, this is the simplest and easiest solution. Just to get rid of half the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it's
he's
not
basic.
A big issue we have on our planet is, greed. There's a lot of rich people that are keeping a lot for themselves and not sharing it around, people that aren't quite so rich. And, that's why you have poverty, third world poverty, all that stuff. Like I said, if there was half the world disappeared and half of them were still those people that are keeping resources from people that need it, you would still have those problems. Doesn't matter if you've got a reduced population. If people are still hoarding resources, then
but he's not just talking about the people who live there. He's talking about the planet as an entity as well. So his planet becomes nothing. His planet is destroyed. He's like, he recognizes that it's not just about the people. It's about living in balance, and he's just trying to find balance for those, because it's not just about the people. It's it's
it is the people. It is ultimately just about the people, because he does say at some point, or somebody says he's going to wipe out half the life. Okay, so he says at some point somebody says that snapping the fingers will wipe out half of the life in the universe. Mm-hmm. So does that mean animals? Does that mean like wildlife? Does that mean, where is the line? Ultimately, I think, use technology that mines the resources to an unsustainable level. So really, it's all humanoid life, I think, because otherwise, like, if it's all life, then it's half of the plants, then it's half of, where is your line?
Mm-hmm.
I get the impression.
So I think it's the humanoid... Okay, there we go. So, everything with a soul, fine.
But we don't know what's got a soul and what's not.
And that's a little bit... Exactly, that's a little bit vague.
Yeah.
That's a little bit vague, but, let's say all humanoid life, the problem that Thanos is positing, really it is about the people, like, using up the resources. That's what he's saying. Understand, like, on an intellectual level, the point he's trying to make, but it's for lack of a better word, and, excuse the language, but it's fascist bullshit. And, like, I can't for the life of me empathize with this.
But I'm not a fascist, and I think many people will get like that. What his like point is, even though he's not doing it the right way.
It's not an old. It's not a new notion. It's not a new idea. This has been said many times by Nazis and stuff. Real people who really killed millions of people. It's not a new idea. It's not a comic booky concept. It's been something that philosophers have said. And, while we are, from the comfort of our privileged lives looking at it from a comic booky perspective, like, I can't, like, look at this and kind of go, oh, well, yeah, he has a point. Because if he has a point, then, what you're really saying is that half the population on this planet deserves to die or should die so that the rest of us can live. Like, what an idea. What a concept.
We're not in that yet, but I definitely think, though, that he was right. He was right. His planet died. Everyone on his planet suffered.
They could have colonized. They could have left. Like,
then you would choose the people who are the richest and the smartest, and then it becomes like elitist. Whereas I guess he's viewing it as a way of everyone has a fair shot.
I guess you don't have to agree with him. You just have to acknowledge that he believes in what he's saying.
Yeah, and that he's not coming from a super
I acknowledge
place.
This, yes.
But he's not coming from a super negative
I acknowledge
place.
this, and I see where it's coming from. Sure, I really don't. So he while
does have a point, but his plan is very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
He
is an extremist.
Yes, quite. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what makes him interesting, though, the fact that he has this single-minded desire to cross the universe to amass these MacGuffins in order to do this. And he's taken it upon himself to shoulder the moral responsibility.
He is burdened with glorious... Purpose. No, wait, that's not him.
Yeah. Glorious purpose.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, he has accepted the moral consequences of that action. He's decided that he's going to be the one that shoulders that blood on his hands. All of that blood. That's half a universe worth of blood. And and the thing is, like, obviously he readily kills people throughout, but there's points where he just doesn't bother. At the end when the surviving Avengers come at him, he throws them out of the way. He doesn't kill them. He could, without question, but it's clear that he's not really interested in killing people as such.
Because it's not his decision to make, he's leaving it to, like, this greater force. It's almost like the stones are, like, God or something.
Well, he seems to only kill to prove a point, so he proves a point to Loki by killing him.
He's definitely got a God complex, hasn't he? He's sort of pretending he's like, oh, it's not his whole chance, it's all fate. But it's not, because he's got a great big super glove and he's purposely wiping out half the people. It's not exactly leaving it to chance. It's going, well, if God isn't going to do it, I might as well become God myself. Sort of thing.
He doesn't choose which people to wipe out, though.
I know, but he still does it. He still clicks his... He still did it. Like, it's not like a... He's still gone, I'm going to gain the power of a god to do what I think God should do.
Did you guys
Which
ever
essentially
play
is
Hand
trying
of
to make
God?
himself a god.
I was expecting a moment of hesitation, actually, when when he was about to do it, but he doesn't. He just goes for it right away. And
Probably because
that surprised
he had a
me
hammer in
slightly.
his chest.
Yeah. But other than having a big axe in his chest. Yeah, that was somewhat Yeah, he's an interesting character, and I'm glad we get another go at him as well. Like, I'm glad he's not killed off and will appear in the next one, presumably. And Josh Brolin absolutely killed it. I think he was excellent. His
I love Josh
was
Brolin.
incredible. And we'll get to see him in Deadpool in a week or two.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for that. I like laughed Infinity War, being like, right, is Deadpool out yet? Is Deadpool out yet?
Yeah, good old Josh Brolin. He's just going to be in all the comic
I
books.
found it really interesting. Yeah?
Sorry, wasn't there there was totally a Goonies reference in the film though, right?
There was a lot of references to other stuff.
But there was totally a Goonies one towards him, and I can't remember what it was, and I do want to go and see it again, so I'll try and find it, but there was definitely a point when I was like, ha, wait, that's because he's in the Goonies, and I was like, I don't know, I found it really funny, but I can't remember what it is.
Someone called him Grimace, That's not a Goonies reference.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't know. I was like, somebody says something, and it made me think of the Goonies, and then I was like, haha, he was in the Goonies, and then I was like, oh, that was obviously on purpose, but I don't remember what it was.
Which one is he in the Goonies?
He's like the older brother.
It's Thanos.
It's Thanos.
Weird film.
Oh, is he the guy in like the bit where they're like, yeah, it says, and they're driving the car and stuff, and he goes faster and whatever.
Yeah, he's on the little bike.
Beginning.
He's on like the kid's bike that he's like nicked. He's the one that's like totally fancies Andy, hooks up with her.
Yeah, that's in a while.
Love the Goonies.
Good one.
So with so that's kind of Thanos and his plan and the moral and ethical implications of it. A pairing we haven't really talked about is Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda, and Vision. The relationship has progressed somewhat. I thought it was nicely endearing, and Paul Bettany did a really good job of making Vision more human. You know, he was stuttering and all nervous around her. I thought that was a nice touch, considering the last time we saw him he was more machine-like than he is now.
I can't even remember him from like anything else.
My work is in that scene, which is totally distracting. I was like, oh, I work there, and then I missed everything that he said.
Aw, I have to be honest, we are in Edinburgh, which was the location for those scenes, and I thought Edinburgh looked beautiful, and I remember hearing
Got the geography right as well.
Yeah, it was yeah, it was, and I thought it was done really, really well, and I was wondering when we were going to talk about that, but the Edinburgh scenes I really enjoyed, but I think a lot of it is because we don't often get an opportunity to see Edinburgh like pictured this way, and it was great. I really enjoyed it.
It was a nice moment. It was it was cool seeing Waverley Station, you know, with the railings and everything. They were leaning against those railings. I was like, oh man, I've been there. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Captain America hasn't shown up. I thought it was nicely done, and you know, you don't see the in between parts, so you kind of see the kind of beginnings of it in Civil War, and now they've been running around for 2 years trying to steal little moments together. I thought it was nice.
Yeah, it was great. I think it definitely humanized Vision in a way that the Age of Ultron didn't really get a chance to do. But I suppose he's had time to grow. Age of Ultron and Civil War, of course. Yeah, it was really nice. You know, it gave us something to care about. You know, we didn't want them to suffer. We didn't want her to have to kill him and take the stone. We didn't, you know, like it was a very nice touch. Definitely gave Wanda something to work with as well, which was really good, because since Civil War, you know, obviously she had the whole like guilt trip and stuff like that, and you know, it was nice to see her like more in tune with her powers as well. I felt that she was a lot more comfortable with herself and what she could do, especially in the Wakanda battle. You know, she got a chance to like really show what she can do. You know, she was very powerful. All the other ladies were like, you know, Okoye was like, why was she upstairs? You know, like, why wasn't she here the whole time? Yeah. Which was really great, because, you know, the Wanda of Civil War was, you know, a trembling, you know, afraid girl. And here she is, you know, a fearless woman, just like descending on the battlefield and taking names and kicking ass.
Scarlet Witch has been one of my favourite characters in the comic books for quite a long time. You know, I've always been really interested in her because she's very complicated. But in this film, I mean, she's maybe not so complicated in this film. She has a very kind of specific purpose. But what they do with her is really good. She's really badass. Like, she conducts herself so well in the fight sequences. And the moment where she kills Vision for, again, this greater good, I thought was like really moving. You know, I felt the weight of that loss when she did that. Mm-hmm. And then the kind of punch to the gut when Thanos just like, well, I'm just going to rewind this and make you coming to terms with this sacrifice meaningless. To, you know, it wasn't meaningless in the context of the film, but it was meaningless in terms of it didn't accomplish anything. And it was like that made it even more brutal, the fact that she did all that for nothing.
Yeah. Absolutely. The feeling that powerlessness was great. Yeah. Yeah.
Poor guy. Although I think Shuri might have his brain backed up on a floppy disk or something.
On a floppy disk.
A vibranium floppy disk. Because everything's made of vibranium.
Yes.
Yeah. But that was a really devastating moment, and obviously they'd seeded it early on with, you'll have to do this. If worst comes to worst, you'll have to do this because your power comes from the Mind Stone, so therefore only you can destroy the Mind Stone. Fine. It's all good. So, yeah, it was an interesting relationship, and Vision was pretty nerfed in this film as well. It kind of showed how powerful Thanos' minions were, because they could so easily damage him. Because, he's made of vibranium, therefore invincible. What did we think of the battle sequences in general? I think the Wakandan battle was most incoherent. Like, it was hard to make out what was
There
really
was a
going on.
lot going on, yes.
Yeah, and like anything that reminds me of the Phantom Menace is a bit of a problem. It was a grassy field with a big blue dome. Phantom Menace.
It felt like they just kept on bringing in more and more and more and more things.
Yeah,
And,
more stuff. Yeah, just
and I have
throwing
to.
stuff.
Yeah, it just went on a bit too much, and you're just kind of like, well, like, do you know, it just was a bit meh. Everything going on, and even though that's like the one scene where they are trying to have so much action going on so that you're entertained, I actually just found it so much that I was like, oh, like, and also because we've just become familiar with Wakanda, I was like, oh, Wakanda's getting destroyed, like, they're never going to let people in again, like, it was just, it was a bit of a shame that scene sort of played out like that, but it did give characters opportunities for incredible scenes, like, the girls teaming up, like, that just happened to team up and fight together was, like, such a great moment. I mean, you talked about it earlier about seeing a whole film.
Yeah.
That would be like a team like that. I think that would be really, really good, but like, instead of like segregating it into its own film, it's good to see it happen in these films.
You notice that Thor's entrance during that sequence is exactly the same entrance as in The Dark World. He comes through the Bifrost, chucks his hammer, and then appears.
Well, it's Thor. That's what he does.
Yeah, but it was the exact same entrance. Like,
was it his hammer or was it his axe?
With a hammer.
Well, it's an axe now.
Yeah, the hammer axe. The thing that he has with Groot's hand as the handle.
Yes, teenage Groot being useful.
It was the only thing he did in the film other than play video games.
Well, it's because he's a teenager now, so, what do you expect?
And he has, and he's apparently has a really foul mouth.
It was really cute.
Yeah. But no, the Wakandan battle was... And it was good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it, but it was slightly incoherent. I think my favourite action sequence was the New York one. I think all the little bits to that were really fun. Where Spider-Man turns up and stops the axe from hitting Iron Man, and all the spells flying around, and Hulk having performance anxiety.
Oh, that is so cute. His little battle that he has going on with himself. Everyone else is battling the world, and he's like himself. That's so Hulk.
Yeah, I liked that, finally it was the Hulk, like, he found his match. Yeah. And, even the Hulk is traumatized now, which, is something. It's really something.
Hiding in Banner is probably not the most effective way to hide, though. Like, kind of fragile.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Poor guy. I really liked, how Spider-Man entered the whole thing, with the Spidey senses and that, like, that was really cool. And, like, where'd you come from? On a field trip to MoMA. Just like, that was great. I really like that.
Did he not say the future as well?
Like I said, he's my precious son. But yes, I think the action sequences were really fun. I agree that the Wakanda scene was just really confusing. At one point I was like, who's punching who now? Like, what's happening? Like, the CG...
Where is everyone?
Yeah, like, the CGI was really well done, but also everything was moving so fast that there were a lot of moments where I was, just, like, trying to keep up and failing. And even with a second... with a repeat watch, like, I'm still the same, like, well, I'm just gonna, sit back, relax, and kind of enjoy this action scene. It doesn't matter if I can follow every single shot. I get the gist of what happens. But yeah, I agree that it was a little... Some bits were a little bit too fast.
I still just don't understand why they continue to even bother putting in fighting sequences, which is like showing Captain America fighting 4 of those like dog things at a time. I'm like, come on, like we know that the bigger picture here means that you need to be fighting more than that. You need to have a bigger like machine or power. You need to be
like just
bigger.
you with your
Like,
hands is not
point?
enough. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
do what you can do.
Yeah, but you would think, right, we need to remove ourselves because there's no point in me being here and trying to kill 4 at a time when there are so many. And they just dragged on that like so long.
Yeah.
Like that individual fighting thing when it's like, well, that's not what the combat is anymore. Like that's not what it is. Like it's the spells, it's powers, it's more. I don't know why they took so long to get to that, and it's not entertaining.
Well, they were trying to buy time for Vision, for Shuri and Vision. That was it. I think, that was really the core of that scene, was like, let's see how long we can keep them busy.
But it's not keeping them busy when it's like having
when it's overwhelming, for sure,
and killing 4 of them.
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything.
No, exactly.
He has the two funniest lines in that sequence, though. When him and Thor compare personal grooming, and
yes, I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, he's never met a Groot before. He doesn't know that they do this.
And it was, and I like that his hair gets all messed up during the sequence as well. Mm-hmm. It's the first time Cap kind of fights rough, I suppose.
Yeah.
Usually it's not hair out of place, but this time hair's out of place.
Also, it's the first time he's had hair that long, which I have to say, like, on a side note, completely derailing the action sequence conversation, but I love the look of Chris Evans in this movie. He looks the best. It's like, this Chris Evans is the one that we have needed this whole time. Who knew? Who knew we needed Chris Evans with longer hair and a beard? But we did, and we got it, and I am very appreciative of this. It was a good look. It was a very good look.
I miss my clean-cut Cap, it has to be said.
Yeah.
I'm very traditional Captain.
I thought he looked great.
I was gonna say.
We'll get him in the next film, though.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm sure we'll get plenty of good stuff in the next film too.
Blonde Black Widow was a bit strange.
Yes, and like the bleached eyebrows. It was like, friend, don't bleach your eyebrows. Come on.
Although I think is that not Scarlett Johansson's natural hair color?
No, I don't think so. It was pretty bleached. Pretty sure.
I don't know what her natural hair color is.
No.
I know it's not red, though.
No, it's not. But, I mean, I don't know how I feel about Black Widow, like, just changing hair colors in every movie. My favorite hair of hers was in the first Avengers movie. It just hasn't been the same since. It's fine. I mean, it is what it is. I suppose it's one of those, like, exile looks where, like, you make yourself look as different as possible so that you don't show up on face recognition cam. Fair enough, like, she probably needed to protect herself. But, not a great look for her, I don't think, in this one.
Yeah, if Cap wants to stay in hiding, maybe he should not be wearing his old costume.
No, it was a new costume, I think. I haven't seen this one before.
It was just a wrecked version of his old costume. It's just wrecked, that's all. Like, all the colours faded and stuff.
Well, it's darker, and the star is higher up on his chest, and it's black. So it looks very different, I think, from all the other outfits. I think it's a new outfit.
Torn out the colour, basically.
Pretty sure if we compare this outfit to the others, like, side by side, I'm pretty sure this is just a new outfit. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
The stuff on Titan is pretty cool. I thought that was, like, strategically quite fun, and there was a lot of Doctor Strange spells. That's always fun. Spider-Man coming out of, doing portal play. That was decent.
Yeah.
Shouting various versions of the word magic.
Yeah.
He gets curb stomped by Thanos.
It was interesting seeing, like, the Guardians and, the Earth-based Avengers working together. That was really cool.
And all the stuff about plans, very funny.
Yes.
The 50% of me that's stupid, that's 100% you. That was such a great line.
It was a great line, yeah.
Yeah. But I also like that Quill's immaturity ends up costing them the fight essentially, because they were at the point where they were winning. You see that the gauntlet comes off. It actually comes off.
Yeah.
It's all his fault.
They almost had it.
Yeah.
Almost had it.
And I thought the sequence was really tense, where they were holding Thanos and they were tugging out the gauntlet, and
for sure, yeah.
And then Quill shows up, and I was like, this is going to be it. This is it. He's going to ruin everything.
Yeah, and he did. Yeah, pretty sad.
Yeah. Isaac, you haven't said anything in a while. What was your favourite kind of action stuff?
I did like the Black Widow. Was it Black Widow, OKA, and Thingamajig team up fight? That was one of the funniest things. I really liked Doctor Strange's crazy magic where he was turning things to butterflies and having a million arms.
I like that bubbles.
And using the crimson bands
the bubbles
of
and stuff.
That's what.
Yeah, and the crimson band thingy bombs. But I don't think I don't know. But again, there's only maybe a couple of all over the Marvel universe fight scenes that really stick out. Like there's a Thor Ragnarok bridge thing. Like the stuff on the bridge is amazing and stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Apparently, I've not seen Black Panther, but there's probably loads of good ones in that. There's probably a load of cool fight scenes in that. But yeah, like most Marvel movies, like the fight scenes are just sort of fight scenes. It's just all these characters doing the thing.
On the subject of Black Panther, where were the war rhinos during the Wakandan scene?
Oh, a good question.
They would have come in super handy.
Yeah.
Hibernating or something.
Yeah, I don't
Do
know.
rhinos hibernate?
Well, these ones might do.
Maybe they took one look at the what was going on. They were like, "Yeah, I'm not fighting in that. that's suicide." No. Of course, it would have just been one more thing that was happening. So maybe it's for the best. Yeah.
Maybe I think that was it. Really, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of action. I think it's all competent, and my personal favourite was the New York stuff. I guess I associate that more with Avengers as well. Like those kinds of sequences. Where you just have different people doing different things, different abilities flying around. Even though it's quite a small sequence, but it kind of gives you a lot. It gives you a lot to work with. Wong's there. I always like Wong.
Yeah, and he can do magic.
Yeah. He would have been useful, to take around everywhere else, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he's got to protect, the base or whatever.
Yeah.
Star base. Strange base.
I wonder if he's alive, you guys.
Yeah.
I wondered this about Shuri. I worry about Shuri. Because we don't see her at the end, so I don't know if she's alive. We don't know what's going on.
I think the rule I'm assuming is the same as the Valkyrie rule, which is if you didn't see him die,
they're probably alive.
Yeah.
They're probably alive.
Yeah. That's a good rule of thumb.
And even if they did die, that's not all reality.
Everyone
there's other realities.
Yeah, and one thing to bear in mind is that the survivors at the end are all the original Avengers. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. I think there's a poetry to that.
Yeah.
There's a poetry to the original Avengers being the ones who have to do whatever it is that saves the world.
The next one's passing the torch, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the new generation are all, quote unquote dead. And it's up to, Cap and Hulk and Thor and Iron Man and all these people to fix it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I also loved Cap's reaction to when the weight of loss, it sunk in on him, and he just says, "Oh God."
Yeah.
It's like he can't imagine defeat when he's still alive.
That's,
it's that kind of horror for him. If they're going to lose, he's not walking out of there alive. And the fact that he is alive, it's just overwhelming for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a passing of the torch in the next film, isn't it? It's,
for sure, yeah.
Our contracts are up. It's up to you guys now. You have the franchise. We're going to go off and die or whatever it is we do. And that's it.
Yeah.
I presume that Hawkeye is still alive, and I'm guessing his family are probably dead, and that's what brings him out of whatever he's doing.
Yeah. And Ant-Man, of course, as per my theory.
Yeah, I think the post-credit scene for Ant-Man will be him watching his daughter dissolve.
Oh, no why'd you gotta go break my heart? It's too early. Stop it, Craig. No.
It's all
No.
right off the face.
I hate you.
It's funny how Fury calls Captain Marvel, but does he know that she's alive?
I mean, that's a good question, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I don't know that he knows what's happening.
I was actually still, like, second-guessing the film at that point as well. When you see Maria Hill dissolve, I was like, fine. And then when Nick Fury dissolves, I'm like, no way, he's, like, invincible. There's no way you can get rid of Samuel L. Jackson. That's
What
like powerful fan.
What do we think of his last line?
Well, he doesn't get to say his usual thing. He gets. I wonder if the first thing he says when he comes back will be the other half of that. The first
That would
F-bomb
be
in the Marvel
hilarious.
universe. Everyone just comes back doing whatever they were doing as they like disappeared.
Just like a little like.
Or they'll be like naked, like the start of Terminator.
Oh God.
Yeah, but I do love that scene where everyone dissolves. It's very haunting. Like the way there's no music and you hear the wind, and
I
on
know.
Titan you hear the thunder, and yeah, it's just a very haunting sequence. Yeah, it is devastating though. And the thing is, like, I know a lot of people have complained about it because you kill half the, you kill all these characters off, but you know they're coming back because there's sequels in development and.
I know, but I'm hesitant to be that cynical. Like, I choose to feel my feelings, I choose to feel devastated and sad, like, because if we take this at that like cynical of a out view, then it's like, well, why get involved in this at all emotionally? Like, why care about any of these people? Like, none of this matters. And I don't like that.
It's the same as if you look at a TV series that you know has been renewed for another season and they're putting the characters in jeopardy.
Exactly.
It's like, you know that they're not going to die, but
you don't know.
Diminish it.
Well, they might die, but it might be, other people that are coming back. It could be that they change it up a bit.
But if it's a TV show,
anything's possible. It's like a new.
But if it's a TV show called Supergirl and they're putting her life in danger every week, then there's a good chance that she's probably going to survive the season. It doesn't diminish the jeopardy, like. And the thing is, what's the alternative? You just don't have this sequence. You just don't do it, and then it all feels disposable.
And then what?
No one dies, like.
Exactly. Like, if you don't, like, with no stakes, then what's the point of any of this?
And the thing is, there'll be a large chunk of the audience that won't know about Spider-Man Homecoming 2 being in pre-production, and there'll be those kind of. And
I don't know any of these things.
Yeah, well, let's not forget kids as well.
Neither do I, and I don't really. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's still effective, and for me, it becomes a question of how do you resolve this, rather than will they resolve this, and that's fine. That's enough for me.
It's a good question.
And it still shocked me because I was sitting there trying to guess who would die and who wouldn't, and I was wrong pretty much every time. So it's like, Black Panther will be okay. Oh, he's gone. And then
that moment where you think it might be Okoye who's gonna die because she's the one in focus, but then T'Challa goes away. Like,
that
was a lot. That was a moment.
And it's like, that's Quill gone. Peter Parker will be okay. Oh no, he's having. That's horrible, right? And when Groot goes and Rocket being left interested me actually because and it calls back to that earlier bit in the film where Thor's like, I've got nothing left to lose. I'm just going for this. And he's like, I've got
plenty to lose actually.
It's like the the family that he's built himself and all that stuff. But I think.
I mean, at the end of the day, all of the Guardians are gone minus Groot.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like, that's terrible.
And Nebula, technically.
Well, I don't know that I would count her, but that's just me.
I think she kind of counts. I mean, she was essentially on the team in the second one. Yeah. She counts enough, I think. I mean, she is there. Yeah.
Well, she is there.
Look for Guardian of the Galaxy, Volume 3.
One Guardian,
starring Rocket, just cutting about the universe. And in terms of this as a universe as well, because this film doesn't exist in isolation, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been referencing the events of Infinity War, so I'm wondering if they season finale will have people winking out of existence.
Oh.
It's possible. Luke Cage is coming on, next month?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What's going to happen there? Probably nothing. It'll probably be kind of, we're not part of this universe, or we kind of are. We are when it suits us, that kind of mentality. So I don't think half the cast of Luke Cage will vanish halfway through the season or whatever.
That would be really cool. I mean, that's generally my issue with the TV stuff, is that, they largely do not connect to the film stuff in the way that we would want them to.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a cop-out. It's lazy in my opinion. I don't like it. I was signing on for, an actually interconnected universe. It was very upsetting when, and I think we've talked about this before, like whenever, I think Age of Ultron, did not acknowledge events that were happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Things like that. Just, a bit of a cop-out.
It is a bit. Cloak and Dagger's on next month as well. That's another one that probably won't acknowledge any of this.
What is this?
Cloak and Dagger, it's two characters. One can manifest light daggers, and the other one can... it can essentially teleport.
Uh-huh.
They're pretty cool. Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as I said, is referencing the events, so I think they'll have to do something. Maybe it will just be that the whole cast survives. That was lucky. There'll be a couple of background characters that just wink out of existence that you don't really care about. It's like, oh, what happened there? Don't know. Like, well, let's just move on. I don't know, but it's interesting that they're keeping the implications of this kind of contained, because the next two films are prequels to this.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and the TV stuff will probably not acknowledge it, and they can probably get away with being like, yeah, this was set a few months ago, or something. I don't know, a few months before this stuff. They can get away with it. But which brings me to kind of another issue that people have raised, parts of the audience have raised, about how this film doesn't introduce anyone, I suppose, other than Thanos.
Yeah.
And that's true, although I don't think it's I don't think it's supposed to. I think it's framed as it's almost like a season finale, isn't it?
Exactly, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and
I don't think that it would have been a good movie if it's wasted time kind of telling us who these people are, because we've seen, or we're supposed to have seen all of these movies, or at least most of these movies, and telling us who these people are at this point. Yeah, but I'm interested to hear what Isaac thinks of this, because he hasn't seen the majority of the Marvel movies.
Yeah. I've done, well, yeah. I mean, that's the problem with, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who hasn't been watching the other ones. It's not a film that exists, it's not really a standalone film. There's, homework for it, kind of. Which is, it's not a bad thing, because, like I said, it's, it's still 2.5 hours as it is, so if you had to say, oh yeah, by the way, these guys aren't mates, and oh yeah, Thor's been off, it would drag it longer. So yeah, but it's I think it's like I say, it's a finale of a film. You need to have, you can't keep reintroducing everybody, but also it's not for. You wouldn't start everyone off on this one. I mean, that's why when we were talking about the first Avengers, and I was saying I didn't like that one because I was new to it and I had no idea really. I wasn't invested in any of the characters. But I think it's that same sort of the Avengers movies are. I'm not sure about Ultron, but they're the ones that you have to kind of as sequels to everything.
Yeah.
There's actually a good article on it. I think it's Den of Geek. I'll find it for the show notes. It's from the perspective of someone who's never seen a Marvel movie before, and they've reviewed this film on that basis, and they liked it. And they go into why they liked it, and now they're at the point where they can just go and revisit all the previous films to get to know these characters that they've just met in this film.
Interesting.
And it's an interesting perspective. I can never see that perspective because I've been in this since day one. I've read comics, and I know who all these people are, so I'm ready to just go with it. And the film assumes you are that person. You're the person that's seen all the films, or as you say, a good chunk of them, and is just willing to accept that this is Spider-Man. This is what he does. Here's Iron Man, he's got a magical suit of armor, and here's Thor, he's been doing stuff and he's lost a lot of people, and you just jump into it based on where these characters are at the last point you saw them, and you just have to get on with it because the film doesn't have time to tell you who they are because it's too busy telling you who Thanos is, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's fine as far as I'm concerned because I love this stuff, but I think it's a brave decision to put a film together that just tells its story like that, because we talked about how the Avengers tried to kind of have it both ways by introducing the characters well enough for that film and still connecting it all. But this is assuming you're rewarding you for all the homework you've done. This is you can do what you want now. We'll just enjoy the ride and that's it. And I wonder what the storytelling means for cinema in itself. The fact is, are more films going to do that? Especially sequels and things. Are they just going to throw you right in and expect you to get on with it? And I wonder if other lesser established cinematic universes will start doing that without having done the homework at first. It could be a problem, actually. Imagine Dark Universe if it did its finale first.
No, I don't think so. I think this is... I don't think that this is a problem necessarily. I don't think that if other franchises follow this without doing the proper kind of setup work, then it's on them. If it doesn't work, I think that this is an unprecedented in the filmmaking world. I don't think this has happened before. A film that's 19th in sequence, and it's the culmination of all 19 movies. Yeah, it has never been done before, and I don't think that it's kind of... I don't know that it's fair to assume that, everybody's going to start doing this, because, as we've all witnessed, DC tried, a little bit, and it already has backfired. So it's not the kind of thing that you rush into. It's the kind of thing that you take time with.
Yeah.
And not a lot of franchises will have the time and the ability to take the time. So I don't think that it's something that we should worry about necessarily. In cinema, I don't think that this changes any game. Any more so than the MCU has changed the game already. It's something that, they've done really well, but they have taken their time. And, slowly but surely, we've come to this, magnificent, 2-hour, behemoth that is the ultimate climax for 18 movies. That is, I don't know that there's any other sort of cinematic universe or franchise that comes close.
Do you think Star Wars could do it? Maybe? Or if they did wasn't there a plan a while ago
but they always have the...
Yeah, they have their individual tales.
Yeah.
I don't think Star Wars is going to set up an interconnected series of solo films that culminates in some epic thing.
Yeah. Wasn't there a rumour ages ago that Game of Thrones was going to do a big film? But I suppose that is just a finale then.
Yeah.
I think that might have been
exactly.
they were going to do a feature-length one, maybe.
I mean, I guess Star Trek has sort of done this, as in, you get the Star Trek films. I'm talking about the pre-2009 Star Trek films. They're a continuation of the TV series, but they don't necessarily introduce the characters to you. They expect you to know who they are. So, although you get introduced to what those characters are doing in that film, so it's different in that way. So, this is completely unprecedented. I don't think we can compare it to anything, and that's what makes it so difficult to review as a film, because I'm reviewing it as a or I was reviewing
Yeah.
it as a part of some whole that I'm.
It's not a
invested in.
standalone, yeah.
It's not, and it's not designed to be. And trying to compare it as such is difficult. I mean, it'd be like watching an episode of Game of Thrones and starting in season 3, episode 4, and being expected to understand everything that's going on. You just can't do it because that's not what the show is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's fine, I guess. But I think clearly this guy who wrote the article on Den of Geek got something out of it when he went in. You know, he enjoyed it he or she, I don't know, I can't remember. They enjoyed it for whatever reasons that they stipulated. So, and you'll have a lot of people that have only seen bits and pieces of them. So, you know, not everyone will have seen everything. Black Panther will be the one that people might arguably have not have seen because it's not out yet on home media. You know, you'll have a lot of people that just go to the cinema, you know, or only go to the cinema.
Well, they do. That's why people have gone to the cinema to see it, though. That's why it's taken over 1 billion, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
But there'll be a lot of people who haven't. You know, there's a lot of people that only go to see.
Yeah, but the people who haven't. Yeah, but the people who haven't gone to see it are the people who won't be as keen as you or I. Do you know what I mean? For wanting to know what happens.
Yeah.
You know, they care less, maybe.
Maybe. But if you think about it, I don't know, if you think about it in the terms of this person, this hypothetical person that only goes to the cinema like twice a year, so they pick a film very carefully, and maybe the Marvel film that they choose is the Avengers, so the other 3 that is out that year, whatever it is, don't get considered. You know, that does happen. I know people that does happen for, you know, where they choose their films very carefully. Because it costs a lot.
It's weird, though. I know, but it's weird, though, that you would pick one of the films out of all of them and not see all of them when they work so hard to connect with each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I don't really have the answer. I mean, as to what the best thing to do is watch all 18 of them and then go watch this. But you know
yeah.
Or watch a good chunk of them anyway.
I don't think I've seen. Have I seen all of them? Don't know.
Well, I'm more excited to see Black Panther after seeing like Okoye and Shuri and stuff.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
I can't really afford this. I'll just wait.
I wonder if their appearance in this film will like boost Blu-ray sales. You know, like next month.
Well, I imagine so. Yeah, like
or this month.
For people who missed that one.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'll catch up with them now because now I can afford to, you know, if it's the same price, you know, well, pretty much the same price to buy it on DVD as it is like to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
It's like 15 quid or whatever. So I think a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll catch up with it on DVD sales, which I think is why, because it's only out like in the cinemas in February or January, and it's coming out. Yeah. And where's it coming out at the end of this month?
Yeah.
So they're really like they're knocking it right out. Like, oh, let's get it on sale now while everyone's talking about Marvel movies.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It's an interesting one. It's just It is something, but it's when you're watching this film, you're watching a part of cinema history because it is the first time you've seen something like that. You know, you go see the original Jurassic Park. That's the first time that CGI has been used in that way. And it's remarkable. You go see Titanic, and it's remarkable for what it achieved in terms of visual effects. And Avatar, you know, all those sequels that no one wants. It's the first time that technology has been used in that way. You know, it's one of those landmarks.
Never saw it.
It wasn't great.
It's all right. It's one.
Works in the cinema. Never saw it.
It's one to see in the cinema, though. That's the thing. Gravity is another one. You know, that's important for that.
Oh, I really want to see that. I still haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Important
Oh, it's really good.
We've seen none of them.
Well, the Avatar, I chose not to see that. Like, I just thought that like Fern Gully meets Pocahontas, and I was like, I don't really need to see that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. It was Pocahontas with blue people. You're not missing much apart from, like, it was pretty, but that's it.
Mm.
And used 3D in an interesting way, which almost no film does.
Well, I'm sad now, only for that one little part, but meh, I'll go over it.
I mean, this film doesn't use 3D in an interesting way. So, as a final point, as a final point, what would you like to see in the next film, and what do you think the Marvel Cinematic Universe will look like once the main original characters disappear? I'm not talking about disappear in the sense of they'll be erased or whatever, like when they leave for whatever reason they decide to leave.
I've definitely spoken about my theory, what I think is going to happen. In terms of what I think the MCU will look like, it's definitely a passing on the baton situation, because I don't think they're dumb enough to stop, doing this. I think we'll enter a different storytelling arc, perhaps. Maybe they'll change the format, to prevent people from being fatigued from too many superhero movies. Obviously we can't have too much of the same thing, because people will be like, whatever, it's new. It's not new. Like, we've seen this before. So they will have to innovate the format in some way. I'm excited to see where that will go. I'm excited to hopefully see more Peter Parker and more T'Challa, and, perhaps a new Avengers team. There's all these new characters in the comics. Thor is a woman. Maybe Valkyrie could be the new Thor. That would be exciting. Yeah. Just seeing new people take on the mantle and seeing what they can do with that. Maybe Bucky could be the new captain. Maybe Falcon could be the new captain. Both of them have had this role. So, it's open season. It would be interesting to see. I'm going to miss Chris Evans a lot, because he's great. But, he can go on to do other things. He's not going anywhere permanently, so it's fine. But I'm going to miss Steve Rogers, as Cap. He's fantastic. But it's okay. I'm open to new and exciting things. As long as the story is good, I'm here. I'm sold forever and ever to Marvel and Disney. You can, just do whatever as long as it's good.
Yeah. Well, you've got Shuri can be your resident tech genius and so on. So you've got these different little bits. I would kind of like to see something a bit smaller scale, because you can't top the scale of this film and presumably the next.
That's true.
So the kind of next Avengers films should be maybe more personal conflicts or whatever else. You'll have much less powerful characters. I think. Doctor Strange will still be there, I suppose, depending how many films Cumberbatch has been, tied into. So with a lot of your heavy hitters gone, you'll have to kind of change things up a little bit. There's different characters they can bring in. Obviously, the X-Men and Fantastic Four are more than likely going to be introduced in this universe. And I actually think part of whatever Flashpoint-style resolution the next film will have might have the world is mostly the same, except there's mutants now, for some reason.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
And then that's it.
All right.
That ties it up. That's it. It's solved. You just have Wolverine walk on at the end and be like, "Hey, bub," and then that's it. And that's, that would work for me. Fantastic Four, I would love to see what they decide to do with that. I know that they've been making a lot of noise about John Krasinski and Emily Blunt doing those films, doing that film, but I don't know. I think that's just rampant speculation versus what actors actually want to do. I would love it if Johnny Storm, this version of Johnny Storm, whatever race he is, I don't care, is the same age as Peter Parker.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe introduce him in the next Spider-Man film in some way. I don't know. All that stuff. What they do with the X-Men will be interesting. I don't know what you do in the context of this universe and how you, I suppose, essentially reboot them for this universe. But I'm excited to see more, and I think that it's in a good place to kind of move forward and do different things. Yeah. Plus, there's an awful lot of TV stuff in development, like the New Warriors that will have Squirrel Girl in it and all that stuff.
I just think that it gets to a point though where there's too many, and it's like what Thanos would do. Let's just make however many Avengers or superhero films we want to make. Let's decide on a number and then only make half of those, because there are too many. It's just becoming so dense of stuff that's good and then stuff that's really crap, and it means that it's really harder to find the things which are enjoyable, and you feel like you have to watch some of the crap to get some of the story from things. Like, I'm not interested in the TV shows whatsoever. And it's like what you said, you know, what are they going to do after this? This is like as big as you can get. This is someone who can manipulate and control every single aspect of anything. Where do you go after that? How about you don't go anywhere? How about it just stops? How about we find, you know, we enjoy maybe the next one if they're going to have a solution to like this and a way of like salvation or whatever. But like, then maybe they could do something else. It's like what I say about Spider-Man. Like, stop making Spider-Man. Just make something else.
Well,
So
the
you think
problem
Disney are
with
gonna stop making
Disney.
money?
Yeah, the problem with Disney is that right now they're at a crux where they're making these movies, they're making Star Wars, and they are making live-action remakes of everything they've already made. So I think that this is probably the best bet we're getting for original content, because otherwise all we're stuck with is reboots of your favorite animated Disney movies.
Yeah, but that's not all we can watch. You know, like, there's more than these companies.
I mean, absolutely. Like, I want more original stuff in my life, but, you know, that's not necessarily what studio execs thinks will make them money. So I don't think that the end of the MCU at large is in sight right now.
That's a shame. I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah, going out on a high would be great. I agree. But I don't know that they would make that sensible choice. I don't know. We'll see.
It just means, you know, like, you keep on making them, you make them and make them, and then, like, you know, 10 years in the future, how many years will that have been that they've spent making these? Like, they'll just be one of these things that, you know,
how many
just
movies?
goes on. Like, how many are you going to go on with? Like,
yeah, you will have to end it at some point, for sure.
Although they do have infinite source material and infinite characters, and they could do, you know, there's decades of stuff in here.
And there is potential to make good movies. Like, I don't think that, like, I don't think that going on is necessarily, you know, gonna mean a drop in quality or, like, you know, films that you won't be able to keep up with. Like, this is essentially a chance for a fresh, clean slate. Like Craig said, you know, like, after this, it would be something else. You know, who knows? Maybe we'll enter a Star Trek-like alternate dimension where, you know, something happens and everything is new, you know? And whether people choose to watch those or not, then that, you know, would be a question of choice. And if we're tired of them, then the box office will speak, and then maybe they'll stop making them.
Yeah, because I feel like this could be the bit where they lose me. You know, if they do this thing where they bring everyone back, and that's fine, but then they decide, well, Captain America's not going to be Captain America anymore, so they think, well, we'll get somebody else to do that, we'll get a whole new Avengers team, we'll try it out. It's like when S Club 7 became like S Club 25. Nobody gives a crap.
Yeah.
You know? I can't believe that's like the one example my head has gone to. But like, you get me? Like, you don't, like, why bother?
Yeah. Although films like Black Panther have proven that audiences are willing to accept new characters that, you know.
Yeah, but he's not replacing anyone. He's just an additional thing. So it's not like then going, right, oh, the Avengers are going to become all these, like, new people.
And maybe they
we'll have
them. You know, they'll just have different characters in there, you know, like.
It's like that whole thing of, like, I don't know, when they did the whole new origins of Spider-Man and stuff, I was a bit like, why bother? Like, just, you know, I know it's because of the money thing, but I wish it had been for something other than that.
Yeah. Isaac, what do you want to see from, like, Phase 4 and beyond? And
the one Marvel comic character that I like is finally arriving after about 28 years of being Captain. So we're finally getting Captain Marvel, and I've been waiting for ages. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Other than that, I want to see a really weird Doctor Strange. I think really, really weird Doctor Strange movie. I think I've do super weird ones, or like super sort of not superhero movies just for superheroes in them. So do like do a straight up comedy or a rom-com with some of them, or do a horror or something. We're kind of we can do, like, thinking of Marvel, we can just do whatever we want. There's no real risks.
Yeah.
Because as long as you do like the odd, occasional sort of traditional superhero movie, it'd be a waste to just sort of do the same thing. especially after Black Panther and stuff. Like, and that was great because we got like a film like it's set in Africa and it's like and it's not like a what's the word? Can't think now. Like if it was set in England, it'd be exactly the same, but they've gone no, we'll set it in Africa.
Yeah.
So like we could do more stuff like that. Like I don't know. I don't really know if there's any like
superheroes of the world.
Yeah, superheroes of the world, or make up new ones. Like they don't have to be from comics. Just make up a brand new one.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they're kind of getting that sort of ground for the whole comic thing and like rom-com thing by introducing us on a to Deadpool. Like I'm really excited for the next one coming out, and maybe we're gonna see more of that sort of like.
I think more like it'd be nice to see one where it doesn't have to have like a villain or a plot or anything. It'd be quite nice to see one where I don't know, it's just like I'm not sure, but like The Office is like a mockumentary. Oh yeah, this is the Avengers. Or
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be there's a villain in this one, there's a plan. Or it could be like maybe it's just some guy. I've not read it, but there was a story a while ago about like one X-Man, like one of the X-Men, and he's like the most powerful X-Men ever or whatever, but he hasn't actually got he has no powers that are like strategically valuable. So I think like he can just make like his hand blow up or something. It's a bit stupid, but like everyone's after him, and he's like, well, I can't do anything. I just work in like Tesco's or something. Like he's not an actual X-Men. He doesn't want to. He couldn't fight. He couldn't do anything. He's just a dude. So
it's like the most redundant superhero powers like ever.
So maybe they just do stories where it's like you don't have to have. So do a couple of normal ones. Let's do like some really weird ones.
Yeah.
Like.
I hope they're listening to you.
Yeah.
If Kevin Feige needs some ideas, we can give them some. We'll take the Marvel money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think essentially what they're doing now is they do. You do your traditional ones like this. Well, or like. I don't know. Well, yeah, like this. Well, we'll say like this. I mean, that's different, but it is traditional in some sense. But they are doing the more out there ones. Doctor Strange, even though it's kind of familiar format wise, it's a bit new and different. And Black Panther certainly is. So yeah, what they're doing now is pretty workable. And I've seen people suggest online that the comic books are currently being used as a test bed just for ideas that they can eventually put in the films. And I kind of agree with that. I think that, they're waiting to see what a small audience, relatively small audience, because comic books don't make money, a relatively small audience responds to, and then retooling it, taking all the good bits, changing things up, and then putting it on screen. And I think that that's a possible workable strategy as well. It's just acknowledging that your comics aren't going to make money, but you can make something out of them, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's an interesting one. But I will be in the MCU until probably I die, not until it dies. Because...
Yeah, well, that's going to be first, like, jeez.
Yeah.
1,000 years of Marvel. Imagine 1,000 and, just nuts. That'd be great. Well, if the planet makes it that long.
Yeah, well, it's been an experiment 10 years in the making, and it's stronger than it ever was, so...
That's almost 1,000.
It's a multiple of it, yeah. Or 1,000 is a multiple of 10,
yeah.
Yeah. So that's all good. So yeah, there's some ideas. We should wrap up, I think, because this is quite a long one, as it's always going to be. So,
yes.
Any final thoughts from anybody before we wrap up?
I just really quickly want to say that I enjoyed this film far more than my voice or thoughts sounded like I did. I really enjoyed it, and as soon as I left the next day I was like, let's go and see that again. And we haven't yet, but I'm going to go and see it again. Like I really enjoyed it, and even though some sloppy fighting scenes and like total devastation, I really enjoyed the sort of ultimate direction that they're heading into. It was kind of like Toy Story 3 for grown-ups.
Yeah.
I think Toy Story 3 was Toy Story 3 for grown-ups.
Right, well, thanks, Craig. You've ruined it.
Well,
I get what you
thank
mean, though. I get what you mean. Yeah, it's devastating. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was definitely more of an adult film. Like, I struggle to think, this is still a 12A, but a lot of really terrifying stuff happens in it. I struggle to think how, really young children will cope with this movie. It's very much a movie for grown-ups, I think. Grown-ups, or at least, teenagers and up, kids under 12, good luck. Even though...
12A.
Yeah, like technically parents can take their young children in, but there's a lot of terrible violence. There's a lot of really terrifying scenes, Nebula being tortured being one. I think, that's gonna haunt me, and I'm nearly 30, so, but that, like, all of that being said, it's such an emotional roller coaster, a brilliant action-packed film. There's lots of character development for lots of characters. I've read, reviews that say that, there's, that people don't really get a lot of room to grow, but I beg to differ. I think there's a lot that happens, with the Guardians, with Thor, with, Iron Man, with Spider-Man, with, of course, Thanos, like, being another key character. There's a lot that happens character-wise that's fantastic. So it's not just a dumb action-filled superhero movie without, there's a lot of juice, there's a lot of meat to this, story-wise and character-wise, and it's a brilliant, brilliant watch. Yes, you do need to have seen some things in order to make sense of it, but those are also fun. So, all in all, it's a win-win, I think.
Cool. Isaac, any final thoughts?
That was a good one, wasn't it? Yeah, that's not it. They're like, ultimately.
Oh my god. Oh man.
Cool.
Yes.
My final thought is that I loved it. It does. I mean, there are points where I've been walking to work or whatever and end up thinking about the scene where Spider-Man dies, and I feel a bit upset again. It's like, I don't know, it's staying with me. I mean, I've seen it 3 times now, but it's stayed with me.
How do you find the time to see that 3 times?
There are more than one of me.
Yeah.
I've got the time slot. I just rewind time and then no. I don't know. I just do somehow. Sometimes I make the time if it's important and I want to see stuff again. And I am. Yeah, it's just one that has stuck with me. I know that there's going to be some reset button pressed at some point, as to a degree, but it doesn't change the fact that it upset me. And it's not very often that I'll come out of a film being emotionally affected to that degree. So. It just shows my level of investment in this universe and the fact that it can just stick with me. And, I'm going to watch these films until they stop making them, which I hope is never.
Yeah, same.
That's it. I'm a lifelong fan. They haven't made any films that are objectively terrible like some other franchises have. Mm-hmm. And, just love it. Can't wait for part 2. It's a long wait to get the resolution of this cliffhanger. Definitely. And, yeah. That's my final thought. Really.
Yeah. Go and see it if you've not already.
Yeah. So I will thank you for showing up and participating in this lengthy recording of this film. So, Natalie, thank you very much for appearing.
Thank you for having me, but I do feel myself disappearing.
Yeah, you're one of the half of the universe. Isaac, thanks for being home and signing in.
Hey.
And Kat, thanks very much.
Thank you for having me. Till next time.
The final thing I'll say is, I wish you farewell and good luck, morons. So, that was our discussion on Avengers Infinity War. A special thanks to YouTubers Dagma and Nstens1117 for the supplied music. If you like what you heard, then please do hit that subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube, or any major podcasting app. iTunes users, if you could give us a star rating of some sort, that would be very much appreciated. If you have any thoughts on what was discussed here, then hit us up on Facebook and Twitter under Kneel Before Blog, or leave us a comment under the article on kneelbeforeblog.co.uk. A big thank you for powering through the audio issues, and we hope you'll join us on the next Kneel Before Pod.